The rain whipped against the bars, and the air in the prison interview room was filled with the damp smell of mold and rot, mixed with the pungent smell of rust and old tobacco. Ye Zhi pushed open the creaking iron door, and the sound of footsteps echoed in the empty corridor, as dull as a heartbeat. She was wearing a neatly tailored black suit, with her long hair tied up, revealing her cold but breathtakingly beautiful face. The lights were dim, and the red light of the monitor in the corner flashed like the eyes of a devil. Behind the iron fence opposite, Ye Chen sat on an iron chair with his hands handcuffed on the table. His suit was wrinkled, his tie was askew, and his usually stern face that belonged to a corporate executive was now as pale as paper, and his eyes were bloodshot. Two prison guards leaned against the wall, with their thick arms crossed and a mocking smile on their lips. One of the chubby guys spat in a rude voice. "Lady lawyer, I advise you not to waste your time. This kid stabbed Mr. Chen to death with a knife, and the hidden camera captured it clearly. The evidence is solid and Prosecutor Fu personally checked it, and you still want to overturn it? Save the money. In this judicial system, you can no longer distinguish between black and white." Ye Zhi ignored him, sat down directly, and slammed the briefcase on the table. The iron table vibrated and made a low hum. Ye Chen raised his head, his voice hoarse like gravel squeezed out of his throat. "Lawyer Ye, thank you for coming. I didn't kill anyone. I had a meeting in the hotel that night, and there were more than a dozen witnesses, but the police said the picture was not deceptive. I'm done this city. The gang's hand has stretched too far." The prison guards burst into laughter, and the tall and thin one clapped his thigh. "Witness? Haha, Prosecutor Fu said. Those testimonies have long been refuted. In the picture, you stabbed Mr. Chen's heart with a knife, and blood spurted all over the camera. Mr. Chen's corporate rival died miserably. There was a pool of blood in the study room, and the hidden camera was hidden in the cracks in the ceiling. You couldn't escape. Gangster? Boy, do you think you are the protagonist? This is reality, and money and power are the evidence." Ye Zhi's eyes swept across them like blades. The laughter of the two prison guards stopped suddenly. They looked at each other, their Adam's apple rolled, and they took half a step back. The air seemed to freeze. She took out the tablet from her bag and clicked on the evidence file provided by the police, the hidden camera footage. The scene unfolded tremblingly. In the dark study room, Mr. Chen collapsed in front of the mahogany table, with a knife stuck in his chest and blood flowing out. The camera zoomed in and a figure broke in. It was Ye Chen wearing gloves and stabbing with a knife. The background is the luxurious decoration of Mr. Chen's mansion, with crystal chandeliers casting cold light and famous paintings on the walls crooked. "Replay 3 times. Ye Zhi's voice was as calm as dead water. Ye Chen nodded, cold sweat broke out on his forehead. The prison guards whispered. "This woman is really determined to give up." Prosecutor Fu laughed her to death. When the picture was played for the second time, Ye Zhi's pupils shrank slightly. She leaned closer to the screen and gestured with her fingertips in the air. The curtains in the study are fluttering, and the shadows cast by the lights are lengthening, but wait. Why does the light reflected from the blade not match the angle of the chandelier? The edges of the shadow are blurry, as if they have been modified by software. The third time she slowed down to 0.25x speed. Mr. Chen's blood pool spread too evenly and unnaturally. In the lower right corner of the lens, a trace of light and shadow is refracted, vaguely revealing a gap that shouldn't exist, like a synthetic trace. The prison guards came over, their fat eyes widening. "What? This is impossible. Police experts have said it. It is irrefutable evidence." Ye Zhi did not raise his head, and his voice was cold. "The light and shadow are inconsistent. The chandelier light source is from the northeast, but the reflection of the blade is to the southwest. The extension angle of the shadow is 3 degrees wrong. The spreading arc of the blood pool is too perfect, like CGI rendering. Ironclad evidence? The traces of forgery start from the source of the picture." Ye Chen's iron chain clanged, and he leaned forward suddenly, his eyes bursting with hope. You saw it? Oh my God, I thought it was over. Those witnesses, they said I was in the hotel, but the police said the timestamp didn't match. That bastard Fu Han, he has been eyeing my company for a long time. Mr. Chen, who has a gang background, died just in time, and he took the opportunity to take over." The thin prison guard turned pale and murmured, Prosecutor Fu. How could he? The fat one pushed him and whispered. Shut up. This woman is talking nonsense. Ye Zhi stood up and closed the tablet with a snap. Outside the door of the interview room, footsteps were dense and heavy. A group of men in uniform broke in, led by Fu Han, that handsome but sinister face, with a winner's smile always hanging on the corner of his mouth. Behind him were several assistants, holding thick files in their hands. The air suddenly became oppressive, and the sound of rain became louder, like the prelude to a storm outside the court. Lawyer Yi, I'm so interested. The meeting is over. Fu Han's voice was smooth, and his eyes glanced at Ye Zhi like a poisonous snake. The evidence of Ye Chen's crime is conclusive. The hidden camera was Mr. Chen's self-defense. The footage was transmitted directly to the cloud. The police obtained the evidence correctly. Are you taking this case? I advise you to think twice. The shady secrets in this urban justice system are as deep as the sea. Before Mr. Chen died, he offended too many people and was infiltrated by gangs? Ah, conspiracy theory. Ye Zhi met his gaze and looked straight at it. Prosecutor Fu, the light and shadow in the picture are messed up, and the signs of synthesis are obvious. See you in court. Fu Han laughed, and the sound echoed in the iron wall. The assistants echoed, and the prison guards lowered their heads to wipe their sweat. One of the assistants looked livid and murmured. How did she find out? Experts say it's perfect. Fu Han's smile froze for a moment, murderous intent flashed in his eyes, but he quickly recovered. It's up to you. Ye Chen, enjoy your final freedom. After they left, the interview room fell into dead silence. Ye Chen gasped. Lawyer Yi, you are my savior. But Fu Han is powerful and the gang is backing this case. Took it. Ye Zhi packed up the documents, his voice as firm as iron. The truth will not be buried by perjury. Wait for my news. She walked out of the prison, the rain poured down, and the neon lights twisted into blood-red ghosts in the puddles. The urban steel jungle, with tall buildings standing like tombstones, fills the air with the smell of gasoline and corruption. Here, the judiciary is an arena of power. Gangs buy evidence with money, and lawyers are not heroes, just pawns. But Ye Zhi is different. She is the hidden knife that cuts through lies from the details. Back at the law office, the lights were dim and the table was piled with files. Ye Zhi took off her wet coat, clicked on the computer and replayed the scene. Zooming in on the lower right corner, the light and shadow gap looks like an infrared mark hiding the camera. But the location is too weird. How could the ceiling of Mr. Chen's study contain such black market goods? She dialed the phone, the ringtone echoing harshly. Mu Xue, it's me. There's something wrong with the picture. The light and shadow are combined. Can you trace the source? On the other end of the phone, Mu Xue's voice was low, accompanied by the rapid rhythm of typing on the keyboard. Sister Zhi, have you taken over Ye Chen's case? You're crazy. That guy Fu Han has very dark hands. I suspected him when I was a former police detective, and the gangster clues were cut off on him. This picture. The source, it's not an ordinary hidden camera. It's a ghost mirror, specially designed for gangsters. It's directly connected to the dark web, and can easily tamper with the timestamp. I just hacked into the cloud backup, and found that the IP trace points to Fu Han's private server. There is an ambush and someone is targeting me. Ye Zhi's fingers were tightly squeezing the phone, and the busy tone was like a sharp needle piercing her eardrums. The air in the office instantly became thicker, mixed with the fishy smell of the heavy rain outside that had entered the sewer. On the window glass, water droplets snaked down like blood threads, and the neon lights twisted into strange faces. She took a deep breath, suppressed the chill in her heart, and turned towards the computer screen. She has replayed that hidden camera footage hundreds of times. Ye Chen's shadow in the screen is very long. When the blade pierces Mr. Chen's chest, the arc of blood splatters is perfect like Hollywood special effects. The timestamp is accurate to the second, 22 hours 47 minutes and 13 seconds. There is no editing or frame skipping. The prosecutor's expert signed a signature to guarantee flawless. But she knew there were always cracks and lies. Ye Zhi put on her blue light glasses, and her fingertips flew on the keyboard, calling up a high-resolution version of the picture. After zooming in on the pixels, at the edge of the blood pool in the lower right corner, a cluster of abnormal noises squirmed like maggots. The cold white light of the chandelier should have cast a sharp reflection on the blade, but the halo was strangely soft, as if it had been blurred by Photoshop's feathering tool. The antique clock on the bookcase in the background moved the second hand extremely smoothly, but it was a full 7 minutes different from the monitoring timestamp of Ye Chen's hotel meeting. The police said it was a synchronization error, but she had calculated it, and the difference pointed to the manual adjustment of the server. There were hurried footsteps in the corridor outside the door. Secretary Xiao pushed open the door and walked in. His face was as pale as paper. The coffee cup in his hand shook so much that hot liquid spilled out, making the carpet sizzle. Lawyer Ye Zhi. Fu Han held a press conference. He said that the evidence of Ye Chen's case is irrefutable, and the hidden camera footage is transmitted directly to the cloud, and no one can forge it. The media in the city is in a frenzy, and the internet is full of curses, saying that you are Lawyer Chen Quan who exonerates evil entrepreneurs. Xiao Li's voice trembled, his eyes widened as if he had seen a ghost. Reporters blocked the door, saying that the pressure of public opinion is too great, and you will withdraw the case. Oh my God, it's over now. Ye Zhi didn't raise his head, and his voice was as cold as ice. Play it for me. Xiao Li tremblingly opened the tablet, and the screen cut into. The hall of the prosecutor's office was brightly lit, and the flashlights were bombarded like a rainstorm. Fu Han stood in front of the microphone in a straight suit, and the winner's curve at the corner of his mouth shone like a knife in the spotlight. He waved an enlarged version of the picture, and the bloody scene made the reporters in the audience gasp. Everyone. This is the real picture captured by the hidden camera in Mr. Chen's study. Ye Chen stabbed him with a knife. The timestamp is correct, and there is no trace of editing. Mr. Chen was a corporate model and died from the greed of his competitors. In this case, the judiciary will deliver justice with ironclad evidence. A group of reporters in the audience people were so angry that someone shouted, "Prosecutor Fu, what do Lawyer Ye have to say?" Fu Han laughed and glanced at the camera with sinister eyes. Ye Zhi? If she has the ability, I will see her in court. But the shady theory? A joke. This scene has been verified by the police and experts. Who dares to touch it? Xiao Li's tablet fell to the ground. She covered her mouth and stepped back, her legs weak against the wall. Lawyer Ye, they said you will lose miserably and you won't even be able to keep your license. Fu Han has great power and the gang behind him. Who dares to mess with him? Outside the office, the sound of rain mixed with shouting. Reporters crowded at the door. Flashlights pierced the glass, like the eyes of countless evil spirits. Public opinion was like a flood, with hot searches on the internet such as improved evidence of Ye Chen's murderer, and Lawyer Ye's evil heart flooding the screen. The comment area was filled with roars of "hang her," and "justice will prevail." Ye Zhi's determination was as solid as steel. She grabbed her briefcase and put on her raincoat. Xiao Li stopped them. "I'm going to see Ye Chen. The truth cannot be buried by public opinion." Ye Zhi's heart sank suddenly, and a black shadow flashed outside the window, like a car light cutting through the night. Mu Xue's breathing increased. "Sister Zhi, don't come to me." The forged chain in the picture is connected from the gang surveillance to Fu Han's office. Han Xiao. That mysterious witness, he knows everything. But he disappeared, and someone wants to silence him. The phone disconnected with a snap, leaving only a busy tone. Ye Zhi held the phone tightly, and the rainwater slid down the window like blood and tears. In the darkness, a pair of eyes stared at the office from across the street, the red light of the cigarette butt flashing on and off. The web of conspiracy is tightening. The scene from yesterday was repeated in the prison interview room. The rain beat against the iron windows like war drums, and the smell of mold and rot was even stronger, mixed with the sweat of the prison guards. When Ye Chen was escorted in, his eyes were sunken and the chains scraped against the floor. He slumped down at the table, his voice like a candle in the wind. "Lawyer Ye, I heard about the press conference. The whole city called me a murderer, Fu Han, that beast, and cut the scene into a promotional video. The hotel witnesses were all refuted, saying that the timestamp was wrong. I am finished, the company's stock price has dropped, and the gang is targeting my family." The two prison guards leaned against the wall, their fat men spitting and laughing. "It's over? You should have been shot long ago. Mr. Chen threatened you with trade secrets? Ha, he deserved his death, but you stabbed him yourself in the picture."
Mysterious vittnes Han Xiao.
That guy has evaporated long ago. Some say he was silenced. Lawyer Ye, why are you still here? Prosecutor Fu said that you will regret it before the trial. Ye Zhi smashed the tablet down and replayed the scene. Ye Chen came closer and the chains jingled. Wait a minute. Mr. Chen did threaten me that night, saying that he had my company's secrets and forced me to give up the market. But I didn't go to his house. I was in the hotel, and more than a dozen witnesses can prove it.
Han Xiao.
He was my informant. He witnessed everything in the study and said that there was a shadow of a gangster flashing across. He knew that the source of the picture was a ghost mirror, a black market product that can be tampered with remotely. But his phone was cut off, and someone is chasing him. The prison guards snickered and clapped their legs thinly. Han Xiao? Conspiracy theory. The timestamp of the picture is accurate and not forged. Prosecutor Fu personally inspected it. Ye Zhi's eyes were like a falcon, and he enlarged the picture pixels. Look here. The noise in the blood pool is abnormal, like post-production synthesis. The light and shadow are offset by 3 degrees, and the clock and second hand are too smooth. Unnatural. Ye Chen's eyes widened and the iron chair creaked and he rushed forward. You saw through it? Oh my God. Those hotel witnesses said the IP was wrong, but I have the meeting recording. Fu Han, he was targeting my company, and the gangster Chen took advantage of it. The fat prison guard turned pale and murmured, It's impossible. Experts have said. The thin one pushed him and growled, Shut up. This woman is bluffing. But their Adam's apples rolled. They looked at each other and took 2 steps back. The smell of sweat in the air became heavier. Ye Zhi closed the tablet and said in a voice like a guillotine, Where is Han Xiao? Give me a clue. Ye Chen gasped. The last message said that Mr. Chen's villa has a back door and is marked by gangsters. He sneaked into the camera to check. Be careful, Fu Han knows everything. After leaving the prison, the rain was like an iron curtain. Ye Zhi called Mu Xue. Xue, the press conference exploded, and public opinion was overwhelming. But the pixels in the picture were ghostly, and the synthesis was undoubtedly. Start technology forensics, trace the source of the ghost mirror, and compare hotel timestamps. The location of the villa, Mr. Chen's suburban mansion, sneaked into the installation point of the camera. I prepared a trial defense and questioned the irrefutable evidence. In the office, Ye Zhi stayed up all night. The light reflected her pale face, and the coffee was as bitter as poison. She tapped on her laptop and drafted a defense. First, questioning the authenticity of the hidden camera. It was installed in a gap in the ceiling, and the black market ghost mirror is easy to tamper with. Second, the hotel witness's recording was used to offset the timestamp. Third, she called Han Xiao to appear in court, and the light and shadow synthesized irrefutable evidence. The files piled up like a mountain. The rain sounded like a ghost crying, and there were black shadows outside the window. Public opinion was like a frenzy. Secretary Xiaoli knocked on the door in the early morning with red and swollen eyes. Lawyer Ye, someone on the internet dug up your past cases and said that you lost to the gang. Do you insist? On the other end of the phone, Mu Xue's voice was a mixture of furious keyboard typing and gasping. Sister Zhi received. The initial scan of the picture shows that the edges of the pixel mosaic are incoherent, and the blood pool spreading speed is 0.8 pixels/frame, which is too uniform in Unreal Fluid Dynamics. The IP does refer to Fu Han's server. I hacked into the backup, and the timestamp was changed by hand by 7 points. The division of labor is okay. I will go to the villa. Be careful, the car being followed is still there. Ye Zhi raised her head with bright eyes. Hold on. This is a battlefield. Xiaoli was stunned and murmured, You have changed. Lawyers used to avoid Fu Han, but you. She exited, and when the door closed, her hands were still shaking. At 4 o'clock in the morning, Mu Xue's message popped in. Sneak into Mr. Chen's villa. On a rainy night, there is no one around, and the vigilance is lax. But the camera is gone. Ceiling seams were pried out and covered up with new paint. After cleaning up the bloodstains in the study room, I found gang signs in the hidden compartment on the floor. The Blood Wolfgang wolf head tattoo sticker, and Fu Han's signature handwriting. This is irrefutable evidence. He removed it himself. Someone is coming. Black car. Rain whipped into the parking lot outside the court, Tires made a harsh splash as they ran over the water, and the air was filled with the rancid stench of wet soil and gasoline. Ye Zhi pushed open the iron door of the lawyer's passage. Her footsteps echoed in the corridor like her heartbeat, and the tablet in her briefcase was slightly hot. She stayed up all night, and the dark circles under her eyes were like ink, but her eyes were so sharp that they could cut through the fog. In front of the court gate, reporters were swarming like wolves. Their flashlights exploded into white light, and their screams were mixed with the sound of rain. Lawyer Ye dismissed the case. The evidence is irrefutable that Ye Chen is dead. A female reporter squeezed forward and poked her face with a microphone. Fu Han said you were collecting illegal money. The evidence is perfect. Respond. Ye Zhi's heart trembled, and when she was about to reply, her phone vibrated, and a new message flashed. Fu Han called, and his voice was cold. Lawyer Ye, are you interested in chatting after the press conference? I'll see you at the prosecutor's office tomorrow morning. Don't bring your followers, be alone. Otherwise, your Mu Xue partner will be in trouble. The phone hung up, leaving only the roar of rain. The lights of the office flickered, and the engine of the black car outside the window roared as it drove into the darkness. The hook of conspiracy is deeply embedded. The gavel slammed down, and the judge's old face was full of wrinkles, and his voice was hoarse and frosted. The court is in session. The defendant in this case, Ye Chen, murdered Mr. Chen. The prosecution's statement. Fu Han stood up, his suit was like armor, and the corners of his mouth curled up in victory. He waved, the projection screen lowered, and the high-definition hidden camera footage instantly filled the entire courtroom. At 22 hours 47 minutes and 13 seconds, Ye Chen's figure was clear. The blade pierced Mr. Chen's chest, blood spattered in a realistic arc, splashed on the bookcase glass and slowly slid down, emitting a subtle ticking auditory hallucination. The jury gasped, and a middle-aged woman covered her mouth and leaned back, her eyes as wide as copper bells. Oh my God! It's so real! The auditorium erupted in low voices, and someone murmured, "Murder that I saw with my own eyes." Ye Chen hit the table with his fist, and the chain clanged loudly, and he roared, "Fake! It's all fake!" But his voice was drowned in the buzzing discussion. Ye Zhi stepped aside and said in a voice as cold as a blade, "We will see the outcome in court." She pushed the door open and entered. The sultry air behind the door hit her face, mixed with the musty smell of old wood and sweat. The lights in the courtroom were dim, and the 12 jurors sat upright with pale faces. Some whispered about murderer and death penalty. In the dock, Ye Chen's wrists were chained with iron chains, his head was lowered, his prison uniform was wrinkled, and the veins in his neck popped out, like a tight rope. The auditorium was packed with people. The strong man with gang tattoos had gloomy eyes. Fu Han's fans held signs saying justice will prevail, and public opinion filled the air like poisonous fog. The police witness came on stage. The fat police officer was sweating. His uniform was wet against his skin and exuded a sour odor. "We have extracted the picture, and the source is stable, no different." Fu Han nodded and glanced at Ye Zhi proudly. Cross-examination by the defense? Ye Zhi stood up, walking as slowly as a cheetah, and the sound of high heels clicking on the ground with each step echoed in the courtroom, suppressing the noise. She put on the blue light glasses, clicked on the tablet with her fingertips, and the picture was projected simultaneously. "Officer, please look at Ye Chen's collar. Here, the reflected light is a cold white chandelier, sharp and direct. But in the picture, the halo is softly shifted by 3 degrees, like feathering. On-site lighting report. There is only one chandelier in the study, no diffuse source. Why does it not match?" The fat police officer's face turned pale, and his sweaty hands shook like chaff. "This synchronization error." The man in the front row of the jury leaned forward, narrowed his eyes and whispered, "Offset? Really?" The gangster men in the auditorium looked at each other, frowning. Ye Zhi enlarged the pixels, and the noise was like maggots crawling. "The mosaic at the edge of the blood pool is broken, unnatural fluid. The clock and second hand track is too smooth, and the recording of the hotel meeting proves that Ye Chen was still there at 10:30, 7 minutes to go. Who changed the timestamp?" Ye Chen raised his head, his eyes flashing red. "Yes, she is right." The fat police officer stepped back, his voice trembling. "Experts?" "Experts said." Fu Han's face changed slightly, and he knocked on the table. "Conjecture. No evidence." The judge frowned. The defense has created doubts, but there is no evidence. Dismiss. The gavel sounded bang bang, and the jury breathed a sigh of relief. Some people whispered, I almost believed it. But there were still cracks in their eyes. Ye Zhi refused to retreat, and her voice was thunderous. Your Honor, where is the source IP of the picture? Directly connected to the cloud? Please verify the original file in court. Fu Henin stood up with a smile, and the figure in front of the microphone stretched like a ghost. Original file? The police sealed it and applied out of court. Lawyer Yi, don't be too eager to seek defeat. His eyes were sinister, and he glanced towards the rain curtain outside the window to hide his murderous intent. The air in the courtroom was solid. The smell of sweat and tension were tightening like a net. Ye Zhi's heartbeat was like a war drum. She pressed her earphones and whispered, Mu Xue now. Fu Han turned around and glanced at Ye Zhi like a snake. Jurors, this is a hidden camera in the ceiling of Mr. Chen's study, transmitted directly to the cloud, without editing or tampering. Double-checked by experts, the timestamp is accurate. Ye Chen is holding a knife with a clear motive. A fight for commercial secrets. Seeking the death penalty. He pressed the remote control and slowed down the picture. A uniform trajectory of 0.8 pixels / frame of blood was magnified on the giant screen. The clock and second hands rotated smoothly, and the halo softly wrapped the blade. The man in the jury had his Adam's apple rolling and murmured, The irrefutable evidence. He is finished. The judge knocked his gavel. Quiet. Prosecution witness. In the courtroom, Ye Zhi slammed the tablet. Prosecutor Fu. The original IP is pointed directly at your office. The picture is synthesized, the clock trajectory is unnatural, and the collar light is deflected. The irrefutable evidence. The irrefutable evidence is that there is something wrong. The gangster Blood Wolf gang has infiltrated. Mr. Chen's villa has a hidden wolf head sticker. Your signature handwriting. The projection switches to the photo of the villa. The gang mark is enlarged, and Fu Han's signature is like a blood letter. The jury exploded and the middle-aged woman screamed, What? Prosecutor Fu. The man stared and stood up. Signature? God. The fat police officer's legs went weak and muttered, No way. Ye Chen smashed his iron fist on the table and roared loudly, She's right. You all know it. Fu Han's face was livid, his fists were clenched white, and his knuckles cracked. Defamation. Unsourced photos, out-of-court investigation. He turned to the judge, his voice trembling slightly. Adjournment. 15 minutes. In the parking lot outside the court, Mu Xue huddled in the van. The rain hitting her head was like a drum beat, and the keyboard typing sounds were like a machine gun. The green light of the screen illuminated her pale face, and coffee residues were scattered all over the dashboard, exuding a bitter stench. Her fingers flew, hacking into the surveillance system, and the firewall cracked. Sister Zhi, the IP tracking. The source points to Fu Han's office. Private server. Backup shows manual change for 7 minutes. The ghost mirror black market mark is confirmed, directly connected to the dark web. The message popped into Ye Zhi's tablet, and she raised her lips slightly. Evidence is obtained. The gavel fell with a bang. The court was like a powder keg, and discussion surged like a tide. The gangster man in the auditorium stood up and growled. His eyes locked on Ye Zhi. Ye Chen looked at her from across the cage, his lips trembling. Lawyer Yi. You saved me. Secretary Shaoli rushed in from the back door, his eyes widened, and the coffee in his hand spilled sizzlingly. Lawyer Yi. The jury is talking about it, saying that you exposed it. Fu Han's face turned green. I have never seen it before. Ye Zhi nodded and Mu Xue gasped in the earphone. Sister Zhi, the IP address is locked. The warehouse in the back alley of Fu Han's office. Tonight's night visit. I will bring a hidden camera. Be careful, they are targeting you. As night fell, the rain became more intense, and the city's neon lights twisted like blood. Mu Xue was wrapped in black clothes and sneaked into the back alley of Fu Han's office. The iron door of the warehouse was rusted, and the smell of rust and tobacco was mixed in the air. With the hidden camera fixed on her chest, she picked the lock and slipped into the darkness. The dim light of the screen reflected the stacking of servers on the shelves, and the buzzing fan sounded like a ghost. In the shadow of the corner, Fu Han and the gang leader Black Wolf, appeared. Black Wolf's face was covered with scars, and the wolf head tattoo flashed. Fu Han handed over the USB flash drive. The backup of the screen was completely destroyed. Ye Zhi suspected the ghost mirror. Does she have photos of the villa? Black Wolf laughed ferociously, his voice sounding like sandpaper. Tai. Boss Mr. Chen threatened Ye Chen before he died. Let's kill someone with a borrowed knife. I changed the camera remotely, manually adjusted the timestamp to 7 points, and evened out the blood pool with Photoshop. That kid Han Xiao witnessed it and silenced him. We will deal with Mu Xue tonight. She hacked my IP. The bell rang and Fu Han rushed out of the courtroom, his leather shoes tapping rapidly on the ground, his figure blurred in the rain. He dialed the phone and roared. Hey Lang, the risk of evidence being exposed. That bitch Ye Zhi has hacked into the IP. If you kill Mu Xue, Han Xiao is also looking for death. The other end of the phone gasped. Boss, I broke the camera in the villa. Sign it. Erase it. See you in the warehouse tonight to talk about the backup of the ghost mirror. The air in the warehouse instantly solidified into lead, and the rotten smell of rust and tobacco hit his nostrils like sharp claws. The Black Wolf's scarred face twisted into a ghost under the light of the mobile phone flashlight, and his pupils shrank into needle points. You little bitch, get out. His boots stepped on the ground, making a dull dong-dong like a war drum. Fu Han took a step back, and the cuffs of his suit were wet. Sticking to her skin, beads of sweat slid down her forehead. Her voice was low but trembling. Black Wolf, kill her. Recording. She heard it. Mu Xue's heart was beating like a wild horse, her back pressed against the cold metal of the shelf. The red dot of the hidden camera was still flashing. She gritted her teeth and held her breath. Rainwater hit the ground through the gap in the skylight, covering up her breathing. The Black Wolf swooped forward, sweeping the flashlight beam across the humming fan of the server, reflecting the stacked hard disks like a tomb. The screen of a high-resolution synthesis machine in the corner flickered with dim light. The picture frozen above was exactly the frame of Ye Chen holding the knife. The edges of the blood pool were brushed. Next to the DNA rendering module, a test tube of Mr. Chen's blood sample rolled down, and the words victim synthesis source on the label were modeled. Mu Xue caught a glimpse and her pupils shrank suddenly. Counterfeit equipment. The DNA from Mr. Chen's corpse was used to generate realistic blood flowers. Not only did they change the timestamps, they also AI synthesized the entire murder. Her fingers trembled slightly and she pressed the device on her chest to upload urgently. The data flew into the cloud like a ghost and went straight to Ye Zhi's tablet. Over there. He Lang laughed ferociously, and the sound of rolling iron cans betrayed her. His arms penetrated the shadows like iron pincers. Mu Xue dodged sideways and her knees hit the shelves with a loud clang sound, and hard drive fragments scattered like rain on the ground. She crouched and ran out, her footsteps splashing with rust and water, and rushed to the back door. Fu Han picked up the test tube and stuffed it into his pocket, shouting, Don't let her run. The boss of the Shadow Snake Gang will not let us go. The Black Wolf caught up with him, breathing heavily like a beast, and the wolf head tattoo squirmed in the light and shadow. I'm working for the Blood Wolf Gang, and those snakeheads from Shadow Snake are the ones behind the scenes. Catch them alive and skin them. Mu Xue opened the iron door. The night rain was like 1,000 needles, and her face was freezing. She jumped into the alley. The engine of the black car started with a bang, and white water splashed from the tires as she chased after her. At the corner of the alley, Mu Xue threw herself into a sewer ditch. The stench of sewage filled the sky like a rotting corpse. She covered her mouth to hold back vomiting. The car lights swept past her like a sickle of death, and she passed by a bending street lamp with the wind pressure. He Lang got out of the car, his boots smacking in the water, and his scarred face twisted and glanced. You bitch, you can't run away. All traces of your hacker are locked. Mu Xue huddled. Rainwater mixed with sewage poured into her mouth and nose, and the salty bitterness stung her throat. Her fingers flew on the waterproof mobile phone, hacked into the nearby traffic lights, and the red light suddenly flashed to block the black car. She sprang out with the horn blaring, and the motorcycle engine warmed up with a boom and left. In the rearview mirror, the Black Wolf smashed the steering wheel, causing fragments to fly. Fu Han dialed the phone and shouted, Send more people. Keep an eye on Ye Zhi too. Half an hour later, there was an abandoned factory on the edge of the city. The rain curtain was like an iron curtain, and the smell of engine oil and mildew lingered in the air. Ye Zhi opened her black umbrella and tapped the standing water with her footsteps. The tablet in her briefcase was vibrating. She rushed into the factory and found Mu Xue slumped next to the rusty iron box. Her wet hair stuck to her face and her face was as pale as paper. The hidden camera was disconnected and her chest was hanging down. The smell of coffee residue mixed with muddy water was overwhelming. Ye Zhi squatted down and spoke in a quick but steady voice. "The recording has been uploaded? How is the warehouse?" Mu Xue gasped, her eyes widened with red eyes, and she turned on her mobile phone to play with trembling hands. The conversation between Fu Han and He Lang echoed like ghosts. Photoshop a pool of blood. The timestamp was adjusted to 7 points. Han Xiao was silenced. "The Shadow Snake Gang is in debt. Mr. Chen owes money. We killed him to put the blame on Ye Chen. The corporate dog borrowed the knife to kill. Burn the server. Push for internal fighting." Ye Zhi clenched her fists, her knuckles creaking and turning white. She took a screenshot of the tablet synchronized projection synthesizer and a close-up of the DNA test tube. She whispered, "Shadow Snake Gang? The Blood Wolf Gang is just a pawn. Mr. Chen was not killed by Ye Chen. It was a gang debt dispute." The forged picture was rendered with real DNA, which explained the lifelike arc of the blood. The ghost mirror was directly connected to the source. They have a dark network, and the IP chain is locked in the warehouse. Mu Xue wiped the mud from her face, her voice trembling but excited. "Sister Zhi, I saw the equipment, the AI face replacement module. Ye Chen's face was stolen from the hotel surveillance system. If the jury sees this, the death penalty will become a joke." The engine roared outside the factory, and the black car approached, the headlights piercing the rain and fog like wolf eyes. Ye Zhi pulled Mu Xue up. "Let's go. Apply for an extension, stay away first." In the early morning in the courtroom, the rain had stopped and mist lingered, and the air was cold and damp with the smell of stale smoke. Ye Zhi pushed the door open and walked in, her high-heeled shoes reverberating to suppress the whispers. She placed her briefcase on the table with a bang and said in a thunderous voice, "Your Excellency, please apply to postpone the trial. New evidence. Warehouse recording and synthesis equipment photos, proving that the forged picture originated from Fu Han's private server, directly connected to the Blood Wolf Gang, the Shadow Snake Gang's black network." The projection screen fell, the recording played, and Fu Han's voice was clear. "She, putting blame on Ye Chen, killing Han Xiao." The court exploded. The middle-aged woman covering her mouth and looking back, her eyes widened as if she had seen a ghost. "Shadow Snake Gang? Prosecutor Fu colluded with the gangs." The man in the front row had his Adam's apple rolling and muttered, "DNA synthesis. The irrefutable evidence is false." The gangster men in the auditorium glared at each other, frowning and growling. "Boss betrayed us?" Fu Han rushed up. His suit was rumpled, and his eye bags were as deep as corpse spots. He punched the table and bang, wood chips flew away. He pointed at Ye Zhi and his voice trembled slightly. "Fake recording. Out-of-court investigation, rejection and postponement. Public opinion has been decided. Ye Chen is sentenced to death." The judge frowned on his old face and hesitated with his gavel hanging in the air. Han leaned in and whispered, his voice as low as a poisonous snake, "Your Excellency, the Shadow Snake Gang donated money for your granddaughter's tuition." The judge's throat moved and the gavel fell with a bang. "Dismissed. Continue the trial." The jury was relieved and someone whispered, "Fu Han is under great pressure." But the cracks in his eyes deepened. Ye Zhi sneered, her blue light glasses flashing coldly. "Prosecutor Fu, where are the original files? Verify them in court." Fu Han backed away, beads of sweat running down his neck. Secretary Shaoli slipped in from the back door. His eyes widened and he pulled Ye Zhi's sleeves. "Lawyer Yi." The reporters outside were bombarded, and the hot search was Fu Han gang recording. The jury privately said that they were shaken. "You poked too hard." With her heart beating like thunder, Mu Xue pressed record and the red out of her hidden camera flashed, capturing every word in every sentence. Fu Han punched the shelf and the metal was dented. She argued fiercely in court and the jury was shaken. The public opinion can't be suppressed, and the original files cannot be inspected. Burn the server and push the gangs to fight among themselves. He Lang lit the cigarette, and the flames on his face looked like a ghost. Deal. I will do it myself. Outside the warehouse the engine roared, the black car approached, and water splashed from the tires. Mu Xue stepped back and stepped on the iron can. The two men turned their heads and said, "Who?" In the darkness the pursuit began. As night falls again, the fog at the old wharf is like a ghost veil. The waves hit the dam with a roar like the roar of animals, and the smell of sea and diesel is entangled and pungent. Ye Zhi and Mu Xue hid in the shadow of the container, wrapped in black with the cold handle of the pistol. The dim light of Mu Xue's tablet reflected on his face. The database has been completely downloaded. The Shadow Snake Gang has infiltrated the top judicial officials. Fu Han is just a pawn, and the real boss is a relative of the mayor. The black car following them loomed. The tires crunched the gravel, and the ghostly figure of the black wolf flashed past. "Find Han Xiao, kill him." Suddenly the phone vibrated, and an unknown number popped up. "Enter. Lawyer Ye, this is Han Xiao. I witnessed the real murderer Black Wolf killing Mr. Chen. All recorded. Secret meeting under the dock lighthouse. Show up within 10 seconds. Otherwise, the truth will never be revealed." The red dots on the map of the dock attached to the message flashed. Ye Zhi's pupil shrank suddenly. Mu Xue grabbed her arm and whispered, "Sister Zhi, a trap? But he is alive." Footsteps approached in the fog, the iron chain dragged on the ground, and the darkness tightened like a net. The mist wrapped around the container like a living thing, swallowing up the orange halo of the distant lighthouse, leaving only its outline twisted into ghostly claws. The waves hit the dam with a bang, splashing salty water foam, mixed with the rotten smell of diesel, and penetrated into the nose. Ye Zhi's fingers holding the gun were cold and numb, and the blue light glasses reflected mist like tear stains. She whispered into the earpiece, "Xue, cover me. Get to the lighthouse in 10 seconds, don't follow too close." Mu Xue huddled behind the container. The dim light of the tablet reflected her pale face. Her hair was sticky to her neck after the rain. Her voice was as low as the chirping of mosquitoes but trembling. "Sister Zhi, the red dots are moving. The black wolf's footsteps are approaching. The smell of ghosts is too strong." The sound of the iron chain dragging on the floor became louder and louder, accompanied by rough breathing like a wild dog. The black shadow in the fog lengthened, and the wolf head tattoo loomed. Ye Zhi took a deep breath of the fishy sea mist. Her heartbeat was suppressed like a war drum, and she jumped out, her footsteps crunching on the gravel. She ducked into the shadow of the lighthouse base and pointed her gun at the darkness. Suddenly, a thin figure jumped out from the fog curtain, with his hood lowered only to reveal his pale chin, and his hands were raised high and trembling. "Lawyer Ye, I am Han Xiao, don't shoot." His voice was hoarse as frost, and his knees softened as he knelt down. Wet mud splashed onto his trousers, and the smell of diesel and blood all over his body hit his nostrils. No, it was the sweet smell of old wounds rotting. Ye Zhi kept her gun steady, her pupils locked on the fearful eyes flashing under his hood. "Prove your identity. Mr. Chen, driver? Fake your own death as an undercover agent. Give me a reason not to kill you." Han Xiao's throat rolled, beads of sweat rolled down his face. He shook his hand and took out the USB flash drive from his inner pocket. The black shell was mottled like old blood. "Original footage. There is a hidden camera in Mr. Chen's study. I removed it myself. I hid in the dark space when the beast He Lang was stabbed, and I saw his wolf head tattoo. Fu Han later used the machine to tamper. Ye Chen's face was stolen by hotel surveillance, and was synthesized and replaced." His fingers trembled so much that the USB flash drive almost fell off, and his voice was intermittent. "Rookie. I drove Mr. Chen to negotiate the debt. The Shadow Snake Gang pressed for debt, but he refused. Black Wolf broke in and sealed his throat with a knife, and blood spurted out. I recorded the whole process, but Fu Han intercepted the main file, manually adjusted the timestamp to 7 points, AI's face replaced Ye Chen, and the pool of blood was rendered with Mr. Chen's true DNA, and diffused by 0.8 pixels per frame. The jury's irrefutable evidence? A joke, they are all black market ghost mirrors, and the IP is directly connected to Fu Han's warehouse." The steps stopped in the fog, and Mu Xue whispered in the earphone, "Sister Zhi, verify. The black shadow is surrounding the east side." Ye Zhi hooked Han Xiao's collar with one foot and dragged him into the shadow. The U-disc was stuffed into Mu Xue's palm. Mu Xue's fingers flew around the tablet, and the screen flashed with dim light. The scene suddenly appeared. The light in Mr. Chen's study was softly shifted by 3 degrees. The clock in second hand traced as smoothly as CG. The black wolf's scarred face was clear. The bloody pixels and noise on the chest accumulated, and the edges of Ye Chen's face were soft and unnatural traces of replacement. Mu Xue's eyes were as wide as copper bells, and her voice burst out from the earphones with trembling excitement. Oh my God! The synthesis module watermark is here, the blood pool is spreading inconsistently, and the second hand skips the frame by 0.2 milliseconds. The original file is irrefutable. The Black Wolf is the real murderer, and Fu Han personally changed the backup. Han Xiao sat down, staring at Ye Zhi with a twisted face. Lawyer Yi, the face of the jurywoman turned green when you poked the court. I will record it all for you, silence me, but save Ye Chen. The wolf pack of reporters outside the court reappeared. Flashes of light exploded, and the female reporter poked her face with the microphone. Lawyer Yi, what is the Shadow Snake Gang? Fu Han's face is as white as paper, respond. Ye Zhi dodged and Mu Xue gasped in the earphone. Sister Zhi, follow and get rid of me. I hacked into the Blood Wolf database. Han Xiao is not dead. Fake. He was an undercover reporter, and he knew that the real murderer was Mr. Chen. He saw the debt dispute. The clue, we will meet at the old dock tonight, but he said that there is a spy watching you. Ye Zhi's heartbeat skipped a beat, and her face was distorted by the neon lights after the rain. She whispered, share your location and prepare weapons. Suddenly, the fog curtain tore open, and the roar of black wolves exploded like thunder. You bitches! Prosecutor Fu's call, the dock is closed. Han Xiao is skinned. Tires were approaching with a roar of crushing gravel, and 3 black cars' lampposts were like wolves' eyes piercing the sea of fog. Mu Xue screamed and smashed the tablet into her arms to protect her. Sister Zhi, separate. I'll take the USB flash drive. She rushed out of the side alley, her footsteps splashing with water, and the black wolf boots caught up with the dong-dong like a drum of death. You, feed the dog with your internal organs this time. Mu Xue's heart pounded. She jumped over the chain and almost fell, and the tablet fell into the mud ditch and smashed the screen. She picked it up and ran, looking back at the black wolf with its claws, and yelled, Fu Han said you have a database to download, hand it over. After Ye Zhi dragged Han Xiao to counterattack the lighthouse, the gunshots were suppressed, bang bang. The bullets scratched her ears and buzzed, and the hot wind burned her cheeks. She growled, Snow, flick your tail. Mu Xue rolled into the container at the end of the alley, and the smell of sewage filled the sky like a corpse pit. The black wolf rushed into the iron door and dented it. She threw a smoke bomb with her backhand and bang, the white mist exploded. Her nose was stinging and her eyes were stinging. The tire crushed the glass and the rain hit. The black wolf punched the iron box and dented it. His eyes were red and wide, panting like an ox. Fu Han lost the equipment. But she can't run far. The Blood Wolf gang has the whole city network. Mu Xue escaped and gasped, heartbroken that the tablet was lost. But the U-disc backup had been rushed in from the cloud. She whispered into the headset, Sister Zhi alive. The ghost signal in the database. Wait, Fu Han's transaction records. In the early morning at the detention center, the iron gates creaked open. The air was wet with mildew and the disinfectant was pungent. Ye Chen was sitting on a steel stool with his hands bound in iron chains, his pale face covered with stubble, and the bags under his eyes as deep as the ravines of despair. He looked up and saw Ye Zhi pushing the door open, her heels reverberating to suppress her heartbeat, her voice hoarse and mocking. Lawyer, the court rejected the postponement. Fu Han won. I am a corporate dog, the death penalty has been decided, don't waste time. Ye Zhi's briefcase clicked on the table, her blue light glasses shone coldly. She sat close to the stool, the fragrance of coffee mixed with the smell of his sweat. She held him with an iron fist and whispered like iron. Hammer. Ye Chen, look at me. Han Xiao is alive. The original USB verification has been completed. Black Wolf is the real murderer. Synthetic Ye Chen's face has been replaced. The blood noise is 0.8 pixels out of compliance, and the CG of the clock track is smooth. The jury is deeply divided. The hot search exposes Fu Han's gang. Tomorrow I will expose the ghost mirror IP in court. The judge's granddaughter's tuition? Shadow Snake's donation is exposed, he collapsed. Ye Chen's Adam's apple rolled, the iron chain jingled, his eyes widened as if he had seen a ghost, the blood came back to his pale face, and his voice trembled with admiration. Han driver? Original file? How did you dig it up? Fu Han's face turned pale in the courtroom, and the female jury stared at him like a murderer. Lawyer, you are a god. He grabbed Ye Zhi's sleeves, his knuckles turned white and shone with tears. I believe you. From the moment you recorded the recording in the warehouse, let's turn around and clear up the grievances. Ye Zhi patted him on the shoulder. Her palms were warm and the new bonds were welded together like fire. She sneered. Fu Han sent the Black Wolf to chase Xue. But the backup is here. Rest, watch the show tomorrow. Ye Chen nodded, his eyes ignited with wolf fire, and the reporters outside the detention center burst into flames. Lawyer Ye's new evidence? Fu Han is finished. At the same moment, Mu Xue was hiding in an internet cafe on the edge of the city. The fluorescent screen reflected her pale face, and the keyboard clicked like a machine gun. Her fingers flew into the Blood Wolf intranet, and the insider signal was locked. A transaction record appeared. Fu Han's signature transferred to the boss of Shadow Snake. With the title Judicial Infiltration expands. Next target. The Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. Mu Xue's pupils suddenly shrunk, the coffee tasted bitter in her throat, her heart skipped a beat, and she whispered into her earphones. Sister Zhi, there's a bigger conspiracy. The mayor has more relatives, the Shadow Snake is snaring high-level officials, and Ye Chen's case is just an appetizer. Outside the fog, the black car's engine roared and approached, and the window glass reflected the cold light of the wolf's eyes. The air in the internet cafe is as hot as a steamer, and the sour smell of old cigarette ash and instant noodles lingers in the nostrils. The dazzling blue light of the screen reflects on Mu Xue's pale face. Her fingers are frozen on the keyboard, and her pupils reflect the outline of the black car in the fog outside the window. The wolf head logo is twisted and grinning, and the engine roars like a hungry animal grinding its teeth. Ye Zhi's voice rang out in the earphones. Xue location. Has the Black Wolf network been locked? Mu Xue's heart pounded wildly. Beads of sweat slid down the keyboard and splashed away. She stabbed the backup button, and the cloud data rushed in like silver snake lightning. She gritted her teeth and whispered. Full transaction records. Fu Han personally signed the Shadow Snake transfer. Judicial penetration expanded. President of the Supreme Court. The car is approaching, Sister Zhi. I'm flicking. She grabbed the waterproof mobile phone, her black clothes were wet on her back. The back door made a loud squeak. The sewage ditch splashed her shoes, her footsteps rushed out of the end of the alley in the fog, the engine of the motorcycle hidden in the car boomed, and the black rearview mirror chased the lamppost like a will-o'-the-wisp. The Black Wolf smashed the window of the internet cafe with its iron fist, causing a hail of broken glass, and roared hoarsely through the fog. Hacker bitch! Prosecutor Fu increases the intensity, and you will be skinned alive. Mu Xue stepped on the accelerator furiously. The tires crushed and fog beads flew. Her heart beat louder than the roar of the engine. She roared into her earphones. Sister Zhi, live. The data is locked to Fu Han's warehouse IP. All the evidence from Shadow Snake's boss, mayor and relatives are ready. And the live broadcast is going to explode in court. The fog gradually dissipated, and the morning light pierced the clouds. She turned into the underground parking lot, gasping and sliding against the wall, with the coffee residue bitter in her throat. The phone screen flashed and the backup was successful, and a sneer curled up at the corner of her lips. The iron barrels were harvested, and the new weapons were ready. On the top floor of the office, sunlight slants through the floor-to-ceiling windows, but is blocked by thick curtains into a cold halo. The aroma of freshly ground coffee is mixed with the musty smell of old books in the air. Ye Zhi's blue light glasses reflect the USB flash drive in the briefcase and Mu Xue's cloud transfer. Her fingers are flying on the tablet and the picture appears. The original hidden camera clip, the Black Wolf scarred face is clear. The bloody pixel brush noise on the chest accumulates at 0.8 per frame. The CG of the clock in second hand is too smooth, and the edges of Ye Chen's face are soft and inconsistent like glue. Han Xiao curled up on the corner of the sofa, her pale face covered with fresh shave marks, and the sweet and greasy odor of the old wounds was faintly assaulting her nose. Xiaoli set the table with hot cocoa and blinked excitedly behind his glasses. Sister Ye, the hot search exploded. Fu Han gangster recording ranked first. The jury, the woman forwarded the warehouse synthesizer on Facebook, and public opinion turned against her. Han Xiao's throat rolled, and his voice trembled with admiration. Lawyer Ye, you dragged me to the dock. After the original file was verified, Fu Han synthesized the backup manual for 7 minutes, with my own eyes. Ye Zhi fisted the USB flash drive, his knuckles creaking and turning white, and sneered low. The inventory is complete. The pixel analysis report was endorsed by Mu Xue. The ghost mirror IP is directly connected to Fu's warehouse. Mr. Chen's study has new paint marks, and the Blood Wolf tattoo sticker has Fu's handwriting. The Snow database download Shadow Snake penetrated the entire chain, and I compared it in court for the second time, revealing that the light and shadow were shifted by 3 degrees, and the blood pool spread unnaturally. Xiao Li's eyes were as round as copper bells, hot cocoa was spilled, and his hands shook intermittently. Oh my God! The judge's granddaughter made a donation for her tuition fee, which exposed him to death. Sister Ye, your IQ is crushing, and Fu Han's face is ashen and he is at the bottom of the search. Han Xiao sat up and grabbed Ye Zhi's sleeves with tears flashing. I'm going to turn over my testimony and I'm afraid of being silenced. But I believe in you, God. Ye Zhi patted him on the shoulder. Her palms were warm and her new strength was welded tightly. She glanced at him with the cold light of her blue light glasses. Hide, you are the key in the court. Prepare for the live broadcast. Take a rest for 2 hours, the storm is coming. The iron door of the detention center creaked open, and the disinfectant water smelled pungent and mixed with iron rust. Ye Chen was sitting on a steel bench with his hands bound by iron chains. His stubble was deep and the bags under his eyes were still in despair. He looked up and saw Ye Zhi's high heels tapping on the ground. His briefcase was placed on the table with a bang, and his voice was hoarse and self-deprecating. Lawyer, postpone the dismissal. Fu won half the game. I'm dead, don't. Ye Zhi sat close to him, the smell of coffee hit him, and she whispered like a knife with an iron fist. Ye Chen, stare at me. Mu Xue shocked the whole network of Blood Wolf. Fu signed the Shadow Snake transfer, Supreme Court Chief. The original Korean U-disc, the real murderer of the Black Wolf. Your face, the noise level is 0.8, the second hand skips the frame at 0.2 milliseconds. Report it all, the jury has deep cracks, and the whole chain will be broken tomorrow. Ye Chen's iron chain trembled wildly, his pale face was filled with blood. His eyes were wide as if seeing a god. His voice was trembling and he collapsed in worship. Original. Shadow Snake? Lawyer, how did you get it? Hot search. Fu's face turned green. The woman's jury forwarded the DNA test tube to the warehouse. You are the savior. His tears fell off the iron chain, and the knuckles on the back of Ye Zhi's hand turned white, and Ye Zhi sneered, relax, watch me reverse. Ye Zhi fisted the USB flash drive, her knuckles creaking and turning white. Her mind flashed to Fu Han's sweaty back in the courtroom. She sneered and lowered her voice. The strategy has been decided. Tomorrow in court, we will compare the original and the prosecutor's files to reveal the light and shadow deviation and the noise. Han Xiao, you will be dead if your identity is exposed. Hidden in my office first, Xiao Li will take care of it. Han Xiao nodded like he was pounding garlic, and tears fell from his eyes. Fu Han's chess piece, the boss of the Shadow Snake gang, is a relative of the mayor. I have inside information. But the insider is watching me. Thank you for trusting me. The new bond is like an iron chain, and the 3 of them are whispering in the mist. Ye Zhi's blue light glasses flashed with cold light, and her high heels clicked on the ground like the footsteps of the god of death. Her briefcase popped open, and the flat screen projection buzzed appeared on the giant screen. Original file comparison. The light and shadow of the prosecutor's picture were softly shifted by 3 degrees. The blood pool spread 0.8 pixels and brushed. The CG of the clock and second hand was smooth and noiseless, and the black wolf scar disappeared and the soft synthetic watermark on the edge of Ye Chen's face. Her voice was as cold as an ice blade. In court, Mu Xue Pixel reports. The Ghost Mirror's black market IP is directly connected to Fujian's private server. The timestamp is manually adjusted to 7 points, and the AI face replaces the hotel surveillance system. The original U-disc was dismantled by Han Xiao, and blood spatters on the Black Wolf's chest actually accumulated, and the second hand skipped the frame by 0.2 milliseconds. The prosecutor's file? Spirit. The jurywoman's eyes widened and she trembled. The man's iron face cracked with sweat, and his whispers exploded like honeycombs. Synthetic? The light and shadow were wrong 3 times, my God. Fu Han smashed his fist on the table, and his livid face twisted and shouted, "Forgery! The defense's hacker file has no source." The vault of the courtroom is as cold as a tomb. The long oak table smells of oil, wax, and old leather. The air is so oppressive that you can't breathe. The flashbulbs are clicking, and the reporters outside are roaring. The bells of the second trial are ringing. The back of Fu Han's suit is soaked with sweat. His livid face is twisted and sinister. He gets up from the prosecutor's seat and speaks in a voice like a poisonous snake. In court, lawyer Ye Chen dismissed new evidence? Jury members, the hidden camera evidence remains unchanged. The picture of Ye Chen's bloody hand is clear. The timestamp is consistent. The jurywoman frowned and whispered. The man nodded with a grim face. Although the public opinion was hot, Fu Han still had an advantage. Ye Zhi's heartbeat was as suppressed as a war drum. She ducked and cross-examined Han Xiao. She approached Han Xiao with high heels and locked the fearful eyes under his hood. "Mr. Han, there are new bruises on the neck." "Who pinched him?" His right hand shook 3 times, threatening. "Why did you turn it over when you opened the original USB flash drive?" Black Wolf Pier was skinned and threatened, and Shadow Snake Insider forced a confession. Han Xiao's knees softened and he knelt on the witness stand. Tears mixed with sweat and his voice collapsed like a sob. "Fu Lang was blocked outside the office last night and said, 'I'll give you the USB flash drive.' Lang is the real murderer. Save me." The woman screamed and raised her finger, intimidating the witness. The man glared and shouted, "Turn over. The chain of perjury is broken." Fu Han took a step back. His suit was soaked, his eyes were red and he was panting like a dog. Mu Xue hid in black clothes outside the court, and the live broadcast started on her waterproof mobile phone. The Blood Wolf database transaction video exploded on the screen. Fu Han's signature, the Shadow Snake, judicial infiltration, president of the Supreme Court, and the boss with the wolf head tattoo grinned and collected money. Hot searches exploded, reporters' flashes pierced the court windows, mobile phones dinged in the courtroom, and the jurors lowered their heads and looked as green as ghosts. Fu Han broke down and yelled, "Fake! Hacker!" The judge smashed the table with a hammer and said in a cold voice, "Ordering an investigation into perjury. Inspector Fu is suspended from office and the court is adjourned." Public opinion was swallowed up like a tide, and the wolf pack of reporters yelled, "Fu Han, step down! Shadow Snake is behind the scenes." Wanting to show off, he restrained himself first. Fu Han summoned the witness stand, and the sound of iron chains dragged Han Xiao into him. New injuries and bruises loomed on his pale face. His hood was pulled down and shaking like chaff. Fu sneered and lowered his voice. "Mr. Han, Mr. Chen's driver, retract your testimony. Chan do it in his study." Han Xiao's truat rullat. Beads of sweat dripped on the witness chair, and his voice trembled intermittently. "It's..." Ye Chen broke in with a knife, blood sprayed in an arc. The jury whispered again. Ye Chen's iron chains were shaking wildly. His pale face was desperate. Fu's lips were filled with a sinister smile, and the blood returned. The witness is ironclad. The defense collapses. Ye Chen's iron chain in the dock was loose, and he stared at Ye Zhi with tears in his eyes. His pale face was twisted and broken with gratitude, and his voice was hoarse and throat-piercing. "Lawyer. God. You outsmarted the whole audience." The jury stared like a ghost, and Fu was like a dog. "Thank you for clearing the wrong." Ye Zhi nodded. His blue-light glasses flashed warmly, and the heart of the new victory was welded. The air in the courtroom was loosened, and the reporters flashed and worshipped and whispered, "Queen Lawyer Ye." The shadow of the courtroom vault is like a lead cloud pressing down on the ceiling. The oak door slams open and the echo is hollow. Ye Zhi's high heels tap on the marble floor like a heartbeat. The pupils shrink into needles behind the blue light glasses. The sound of the broken screen of the mobile phone makes Han Xiao scream, "Ah!" piercing the eardrums, and the hallucination of the smell of blood hits his nose. She threw her briefcase over her shoulder and clenched the U-disc tablet like an iron fist. The mist seeped into her collar, which was cold and sticky. The reporter's wolf flashes exploded like the muzzle of a gun. She lowered her head and rushed out of the crowd, her throat as dry as rust. Mu Xue, the location is locked. The Black Wolf's lair, the back alley of the Shadow Snake warehouse, will be there in 3 minutes. Han Xiao's skin is half peeled off and the screams echo. The whole city's hunting network is activated. The earphones buzzed with electric current, and Mu Xue's voice was as low as a ghost whispering through the fog. Sister Zhi got it. The motorcycle has moved, the Blood Wolf database is located, the abandoned dock in the industrial area, the iron mesh fence of Shadow Snake's lair, the infrared security has 6 thermal eyes, and the wolf head car logo flashes 2 cars. I have an EMP pulse backup. And the dark network has cut off the monitoring for 5 minutes. Rush. The engine roared. Ye Chen roared. Ye Zhi blocked the taxi door and smashed it open. The driver's greasy face was twisted and horrified. Missed the industrial area? There's a big fog. She flicked a 100 yuan bill and smashed the gear, and her blue light glasses shot coldly. Open. Chasing the Black Wolf's taillights, you'll get a 500 reward. The wheels clicked and the fog beads flew, the horn made a dee-dee noise and the car approached, and the wolf-headed car logo twisted the lamppost and bit the tail. The rusty wind blows in the abandoned dock, the rotten seawater mixed with diesel fuel is pungent. The fog wraps around the containers like white ghosts and twists the shadows, and the howling of wolves in the distance echoes the buzzing and trembling of the steel plates. Mu Xue's motorcycle turned off in a dark corner, and her black clothes were wet on her back. Her fingers were flying around her waterproof phone, and the green light on the screen appeared on the dark network interface. Security hacking. The infrared blind zone is open. The surveillance circuit ghosts are circulating. There are 3 wolves in the dark wolf. Han Xiao is hanging on the roof of the warehouse with iron hooks. Ye Zhi paid for the car with a pop, and took off his high heels and replaced them with flat boots. Click landed. The pistol in the briefcase was loaded coldly, and she whispered, Xue electromagnetic pulse. Go to the inner perimeter. Mu Xue thrust her thumb, and the pulse exploded silently, and all the lights in the container went out with a pop, and the black shadow guard shouted, Power outage? Shadow Snake Network calls the police. The footsteps click, and clatter rushed through the iron net. Suddenly, Ye Zhi's cell phone buzzed loudly, and an unknown number flashed. She answered it, breathing heavily and making a black wolf sound like a knife scraping glass. Bitchy, Han Xiao is in my hand. Peel off half of the skin, blood dripping on the floor. Drop the lawsuit, otherwise send me your message. Outside the office, I haven't seen you for 3 minutes. The Shadow Snake Network is activated and the whole city is hunting. The call was cut off. Han Xiao's screams echoed in his ears. Ye Zhi fisted the phone and it shattered. The blue light glasses burst out with cold light, and the crisis was like a black tide swallowing the sky. The roof of the warehouse was as cold as a tomb, and the iron hooks swayed. Han Xiao was hanging in the air with blood and flesh. His skin was peeled off and his arms were bloodshot and the cement was dripping and corroded. The sweet smell of blood mixed with sweat and sourness choked his nose. His pale face was swollen and only the slits between his eyes were exposed. His throat was wheezing weakly. The knife squeaked, and blood spurted out from the leg flesh. He growled. Bitchy, 3 minutes are up. Shadow Snake Network locks your motorcycle GPS. And the wolves in the city bite off your legs. Ye Zhi jumped up the iron ladder with a dong-dong sound, the blue light glasses locked on the back of his neck. Hailang, the original Korean USB flash drive has been exposed in court. Fu's signature is a snake transfer hot search. You skinned? The jurywoman posted the video of wolf head skinning man on Facebook. Public opinion will swallow you up. Swallowed by the darkness, Ye Zhi clung to the cold and rusty stains on the container, and her fingertips drew greasy marks. She switched from blue light glasses to night vision and scanned with green light. The wolf head tattoo and the guard scar were twisted, and the mace was swung in the air. Mu Xue sprang out from the side, dressed in black like a ghost. The flashlight pop blasted out the eye socket of the second wolf head, screaming boom. As it hit the steel barrel and rolled, she roared, Sister Zhi, the iron hook on the top floor. The black wolf kissed me. The knife scraped the skin with a squeak sound. The guards rushed up the iron ladder with a thunderous dong-dong sound, and the wolves howled together. Bitch broke into the lair. Strip naked and hang a net. The iron net of wolves surrounded them with a clang. The infrared in the fog restarted the DD lock, and the footsteps clicked like the tide of death. Ye Zhi carried Han Xiao and ran wildly between the containers, dragging the squeaking cement with bloodstains. Mu Xue stood behind the EMP-3 buzz lights and shadows. The wolf's head roared and the gun bolt click. GPS locks the motorcycle. Shadow snake, the whole city's police sirens are on. They jumped on their motorcycles with a bang. The tires crushed the blood and the mist flew away. The rear view of the black wolf car hit the lamppost with a bang and sparks flew, and the gunshots bang bang burned their faces. Han Xiao breathed weakly in his arms. The original showed that the gang killer wolf stabbed the chest, and the real murderer was Ye Chen. Fu personally adjusted the light and shadow. The basement of the office is as hot as a steamer, and the smell of mold and mildew is bloody and pungent. Ye Zhi tears off the medical gauze and wraps Han Xiao's injury squeaking to stop the bleeding. The Blu-ray glasses reflect the tablet and the complete original picture appears. The hidden camera in Mr. Chen's study. The gangster killer wolf stabs the chest and stabs the blood arc. The real noise level is 0.8 per frame. The clock in second hand jumps to 0.2 milliseconds and naturally shakes. And there is no soft synthetic watermark on the edges of Ye Chen's face. Mu Xue's fingers stiffened on the keyboard, her pupils reflected the picture, and her voice trembled in admiration. Sister Zhi. Complete irrefutable evidence. The real murderer of the Black Wolf is clear. Fu Warehouse's synthetic supervisor's perspective comes into view, and his hand-adjusted pixel brushing is offset 3 times. When the jury sees this, Fu Yong falls. Han Xiao's tears fell with mixed blood, and his pale face twisted with gratitude. Lawyer. God. You outsmarted the wolves and rescued me on the hook. The Black Wolf stared like a ghost. Turn in all the documents and destroy the conspiracy. Suddenly, the mobile phone ding-ding exploded with hot searches. Fu Han's smear video exploded on the screen. Ye Zhi buying evidence in court. Hacker bitch hooks up with a Black Wolf. Media headlines: lawyer's shady story. Han Xiao's fake injury drama. Reporter turning around and shouting, Ye Zhi, step down. Is she the source of the perjury? Xiaoli rushed into his glasses and blinked in panic, his hands shaking as he sprinkled hot cocoa. Sister Zhi. Forward, the public opinion is dark. The judge refuses to hear the hearing? Ye Zhi fisted the tablet and the cold light flashed. Fu sold the evidence. The warehouse synthesis machine was burned down, the media was wiped out. Xue chased the IP. Mu Xue hacked in, and the screen flashed with a self-destruction code. She shouted. Destroyed. But the original full file backup, Fu Facebook Live broadcast, the transfer record is locked. The fog is heavy on the street, the wolf car is following behind, the engine grinds its teeth, the sound of gunshots shatters the rear window glass. Ye Zhi drives down a dark alley and screams the tires. The 3 people squeeze into the co-pilot's blood-smelling and sweaty car. Han Xiao gasps weakly. Hide! The siren of the Shadow Snake network is approaching. The whole city is hunting. Mu Xue's fingers in the back seat are jabbing wildly, and the EMP pulse buzz cuts off the GPS of the chasing car. Her eyes wide open with beads of sweat dripping down her face. Sister Zhi, get rid of 3 streets. There are traces of Fu's office on the dark web. He put pressure on the mayor's relatives after canceling his license, and the hot searches labeled us as terrorists. Ye Zhi stepped on the accelerator furiously, her heart beating loudly as the engine roared, and her blue light glasses scanned the rear view and distorted the wolf light. Apply for an emergency hearing. The original full screen is brought to court, and Fu's supervision is combined, and the rift between the jury is rekindled. Hold on. The underground parking lot is cold and damp, rusty water droplets echo like blood. Ye Zhi's briefcase is placed on the steel table, and the original image of the flat panel projection jumps over the wall. The gangster killer wolf stabs the chest and the blood spreads in a real and natural way. Fu whispers beside the warehouse. The light and shadow are adjusted to 3 degrees. The face is Ye Chen's hotel file. The timestamp hand is changed to 7 points. The penetration of the shadow snake is expanding. Han Xiao pointed to the picture, trembling. See? Fu personally signed the synthetic backup and killed me in full. Mu Xue's pupils narrowed, and her voice was intermittent with fear and admiration. Oh my God! Fu's glasses reflect the synthesizer, and he signed the wolf head sticker. Sister Zhi. This proves that the supervisor's IQ is crushing. Xiaoli was on guard outside the door with a pale face and whispered, "The wolves are approaching, the sirens are wailing." Black Wolf whirled around and smashed the mace into the air with a bang, and dented the iron plate. His pale eyes were red and round, and the scar twisted and roared, "Fu Jiejia, Shadow Snake Boss Mayor relative. I'll peel you off for 3 generations." The second wave of Mu Xue's EMP buzzed and Hailang's cell phone buzzed and shattered the screen. He died. He was stunned for half a second. Bending down, she whispered like ice, "Snow hook lock." Mu Xue flew the knife and cut the iron chain with a snap, and Han Xiao fell into her arms. His fingers were trembling and he inserted the hidden chip. Full. Original picture. Gangster killer chest wolf stab. Naijvu warehouse's personal supervision. The black wolf climbed up and howled to call the wolf. Surround. Ye Zhi's fingers were flying as the email requesting an emergency hearing was sent out. Blue light glasses reflected the judge's mailbox. She whispered like a knife. Rejected? My granddaughter's tuition fee was exposed through a snake donation. The juror woman sent a private message asking for the truth. Fu Haiqing is overwhelming. I am against it. The phone buzzed. Shocked, the judge said coldly. Lawyer Yi, urgent dismissal. Fu is suspended. The media is slandering you. The source of the evidence is doubtful. Adjourn for 3 days investigation. She punched the table and bang, the dust flew. The depression was like a black cloud grinding her heart. A wolf was howling faintly. Bitch, the internet is locked. The rusty water droplets in the underground parking lot hit the cement and echoed like a weeping bell. The fog penetrated the iron pillars and twisted the wolf shadows. The wolf truck engine roared and approached the entrance, and the iron gate trembled with a clang. Infrared lamp posts pierced the darkness and bitten the bones. Ye Zhi glanced at the green light of his blue light glasses, and the original picture of the tablet in the briefcase was buzzing, and the black wolf was stabbing his chest. The arc of blood spread naturally. She fisted Han Xiao to hide the squeaking edge of the chip. Her throat was rusty and dry, and she growled, Snow, the safe monitor is locked. Fu Xiaoxiao accepted the check from the Shadow Snake, the Supreme Court chief's target. The wolves are close, and the GPS is broken. Mu Xue's black clothes were wet and sticky on her back, and her fingers wildly poked at the waterproof. The green light of the mobile phone flashed on the dark network interface, and the pupils shrank and trembled in fear. Sister Zhi, hacked in. The iron gate has 6 infrared heat senses. 5 wolf-headed guns are loaded with a click, and the smell of blood is overwhelming. Outside Xiaoli's door, his pale face and livid legs slid against the wall. Pa, his voice collapsed intermittently. Lawyer. The sirens are Wu. Fu's hot search force is blasting us as horrible bitches. The jury has all been deleted, and public opinion is swallowing up. It's over. Han Xiao's bloody arms were squeaking and bleeding. His pale face was swollen and only the eye slits were exposed. With trembling fingers, he took out the crumpled suicide note from his trouser pocket and threw it on the steel table. The ink was stained with blood spots and twisted. Mr. Chen wrote it himself. He owed Shadow Snake 500 million, Fu threatened. Synthetic Ye Chen is blamed. Judicial infiltration is appetizing. Read. The key to destroying the conspiracy. Ye Zhi grabbed the suicide note, scratched the paper with rough and cold fingers, and scanned the handwriting with blue light glasses. Fu Han's signature wolf head seal was pressed into the corner, and the ironclad evidence of the business conspiracy emerged. Dark clouds were rolling over her heart, and despair was pouring into her brain. The court was adjourned for 3 days. Fu sold the certificate and burned the warehouse. The media wolf pack was tearing at him. The muzzle of the wolf truck was close at hand, and the images of her family flashed in her mind. The curtains in the apartment where her mother lived alone were shaking. The lights in her sister's university dormitory were turned off. Fu Hei stretched out his hand. The throat was choked and cracked, and he whispered like a knife. Snow, remotely hack the safe. Launder all the money. Summon the gangster, the second in command of the Blood Wolf Ghost Eye. Han, your informant, uploaded the recording at the dock. I will interrogate Fu Chain. Camera, black market ghost mirror. Gangster outfit, Fu Shure's synthesis. Mu Xue's eyes were as wide as copper bells. Her hands were trembling and she was banging on the keyboard, and her voice collapsed. Sister Zhi's calculations. The ghost eye owes me a debt from the former police detective. Hacked into the safe's biolock DNA. and the shadow snake's check was scanned and backed up in the cloud. The iron gate of the wolf cart hit the iron gate with a bang, and sparks flew everywhere. The black wolf with a scarred face smiled ferociously and thrust his mace into the air. The red dot on the muzzle locked the three people's chests with a deedy and bloody roar. Ye bitch! The original chip is broken? Peel Han Di in the second round. Fu is going to peel off your mother-in-law. Ye Zhi stepped on the accelerator and the stolen van boomed Ye Chen. The tires squeaked and blood splashed. The rear-view wolf lights distorted and the tail-eating gunfire bang-bang shattered the mirror and the rain pierced the face with heat waves. The co-pilot Xiao Li's legs were shaking as the hot cocoa spilled on the stall, and his skin was sizzling. His pale face was twisted and he screamed in fear. Lawyer shoots. 10 wolf packs. Shadow snake net police blocked the road. Mu Xue hugged Han Xiao in the back seat, and the smell of blood and sweat mixed with the car. The green light of his mobile phone buzzed and flashed. It's terrible. The safe clicked to open the afterimage. Money laundering checks are stacked with wolf heads. Digital files are downloaded 100%. Ghost Eye's private message reply. Subpoena agreed, original camera disassembly testimony at the doc meeting. Han Xiao choked and choked out. Suicide note. Mr. Chen's blood finger stamp. Business debt shadow snake to blame. You save God. The car turned into a dark alley and hit the foggy wall. The tire screamed. Ye Zhi's blue light glasses switched to night vision to dodge the wolf car, and the sparks went boom. The heartbeat pressed the engine dong-dong like a war drum. The psychological game in the mind was like a sword fight. Fu Yingji's glasses were synthesized in a reflective warehouse, and his ambition swallowed up. At the top of the judiciary she made a lot of mistakes, the public opinion flooded the evidence, the judge refuted the hearing donation, and the juror woman deleted and reposted on Facebook. But the original noise was 0.8 natural, the clock second jitter was 0.2, and the perspective of Supervisor Fu was in the mirror, and the intelligence was locked. She roared. Hold on. The second trial in 3 days, the Ghost Eye interrogation chain is summoned. The Ghost Mirror Gang installed the study room. The camera IP directs the server, and the stamp is synthesized by hand when changing. Mu Xue's pupil reflection file worshipped and trembled. Sister Zhi. Reverse the glimmer. I recommend the hot search. Fu money laundering remains, and the rift between the jury is rekindled. The sweltering steamer in the basement of the office was upgraded. The stench of mold and blood mixed with diesel was pungent. Ye Zhi's briefcase smashed on the table and the projected suicide note jumped onto the wall. Mr. Chen's handwriting was distorted. Fu Han threatened to synthesize Ye Chen, and the shadow snake debt killed me to silence me. The bloody fingerprints were pressed red. Han Xiao pointed at the picture and gasped. Original? Confirmation. Xiao Liman's guarded face was covered with sweat, and his legs were weak and whispered. The wolf is howling. Fu's phone is bombarding the judge. Suddenly, the iron door banged on the tablet, and the scan of the envelope in Ye Chen's prison appeared. The iron chain was stained with blood on his hands, and the handwriting was burning with wolf flames. Lawyer Zhi. The original ironclad evidence ignited hope. The black wolf stripped Han. You save your sanity. Fu Su's eyes are red. Believe you. Chen swears to repay you. Ye Zhi's fingertips trembled, the fog in her glasses burst into tears, and the black clouds of despair cracked. The client's iron-blooded trust, her psychological support was like a steel bar, and she punched the table and flew away with a bang. Chen Xian is like a knife. The sea of fog at the wharf smells rotten. The waves bang against the piles, echoing with ghosts crying. The black shadow of the ghost-eyed wolf has half of its stabbing arm, and the one-eyed green light flashes on his mobile phone. He roars. Lawyer Yi, I owe Mu Xue's life. The ghost mirror blood wolf is dressed in Chen's study, directly connected to the dark network Fu Hai. The picture is synthesized by his room. The pixels are brushed three-dimensional. The light and shadow are softly offset, and the blood pool CG spreads unnaturally. I personally dismantled the machine to mark the wolf head sticker. Mu Xue's ghostly recording in black was uploaded, with ghostly eyes and pale face, twisted in fear and admiration. You two are fighting against the black wolf in the abandoned shipyard. God. I secretly filmed Mr. Chen's blood test tube at Fu's synthesis table. Summon me, kill him. Ye Zhi's blue light glasses shot into the keyhole, and the psychological interrogation was like a web. Fu's chain was broken. Camera gang? IP Fu's synthetic supervisor? money laundering check, and the jury was locked up. The 3-day foggy night was like an iron curtain pressing down on the city. The shadow of the lead cloud on the courtroom vault returned again. The oak door was thrown open with a bang. Ye Zhi's high heels tapped on the marble, and his heartbeat was racing. The briefcase's USB flash drive was held in an iron fist, and the tablet appeared in its original full file. The wolf pack of reporters flashed their guns with click explosions. The aftermath of the undercurrent of public opinion was headlined. Ye Bitch illegally hacked the evidence, and the juror woman hesitated on Facebook and flashed doubts in her eyes. Fu Han's livid face reflected in his glasses at the prosecutor's seat, and he smiled ferociously. He paused and resumed the pressure. He opened the court with a low roar. Ye Zhi illegally obtained evidence. The waste ship hacked the warehouse, bribed Han Xiao to fake injuries, and hacked the safe for terrorism. Refute the summons, and the ironclad evidence locks Ye Chen. The judge iron-cold hammered. Summon the ghost eye? The source is doubtful. Stop. Ye Zhi stood up, blue light burst out, and his voice cut through the air like an ice blade. Your Majesty, urgent and irrefutable evidence. Mr. Chen's suicide note is a sign of blood acupressure, and the business conspiracy is a conspiracy to kill and frame the blame. The suicide note projected onto the wall was distorted, and the juror woman's pupils shrank. The little whisper trembled. The blood seal? Is it real? Fu Han fisted the speech script and shouted back. Fake! Ye illegally rescued Han Xiao and skinned him, and the public opinion was black. The psychological game escalated like an undercurrent. Ye's brain flashed Fu smiling ferociously at the safe. She whispered and questioned. Jian Fu, the source of the camera? The ghost mirror is a black market product, directly connected to your private server IP lock warehouse to synthesize. The ghost-eyed witness Shitsong's face was rounded with one eye, and his voice was intermittently frightened. Blood wolf decorated in Chen's study. The picture was synthesized by the studio. The pixel noise was fake at 0.8, and the seconds passed smoothly. I dismantled the phone and said, Ah! The woman in charge covered her mouth with her hands, and the man's eyes were red and he growled, Prince Supervisor Fu. Mu Xue's earphones ghostly said, Sister Zhi, money laundering and stealing from the safe is successful. The check projection is a hot search. Ye Zhi's finger flew to the tablet and clicked, and the money laundering file jumped up and Fu signed the wolf head stacked, Judicial Infiltration Supreme Court President. Fu's face turned pale, his glasses slipped and his nose twisted. Fake! Hacker Mu Xue's crime. The cracks in his psychological defense burst, and the black hole of ambition swallowed up fear. The conspiracy was exposed and locked, and the shadow snake laughed and turned to bite? Ye Zhi pressed forward step by step. Chain lock, gangster camera, Fu's IP, hand change timestamp to 7 points, supervising the synthetic angle of view, money laundering check. Jury original noise, natural jitter comparison. The jury widened their eyes and trembled in admiration, whispering, The lawyer is sane. Fu bang. The judge's hammer bang 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 shook the metal. Investigation of perjury. The adjournment is postponed. Fu is temporarily detained. The heavy fog outside the court creaked the oak door, and Ye Zhi's briefcase shimmered with victory. The aftermath of the game in her heart. Fu's red eyes were like wolves, and the rift in public opinion was rekindled, but the dark tide was not extinguished. The mobile phone buzzed with private messages, and Fu Yinling's voice was harsh. Ye Zhi, there is a wolf car outside the window of my mother's apartment, and there is a dark shadow in my sister's dormitory. Withdraw the certificate, or strip away the third generation of the family. Her pupils shrank, and her blue light glasses burst with cold shot. Mu Xue's waterproof mobile phone with green light flash intercepted Fu Hailang's ultimatum. Finally, Ye Bitch won't retreat. She will peel off her mother and sister. Peel off Zhi, and the Shadow Snake Network will open up for a bloodbath. She roared. Sister Zhi intercepted the recording. The wolf head is approaching the apartment. The bloody foreboding knife hung from the neck, and the howling of wolves gathered in the fog like a tide of death. The fog wraps around like a lead hook, the oak door creaks and groans, the marble steps outside the court are slippery and cold, the flashlights of the wolf pack of reporters are as dazzling as a knife, and the knife hangs from the neck in anticipation of bloodshed. Ye Zhi's briefcase was as hot as molten iron, and the edges of Fu's private message creaked when pinched with her fingertips. The green light of her blue light glasses reflected the swaying curtains in her mother's apartment and the dark shadows in her sister's dormitory. Her pupils were shrunk, her rusty throat was choked and bursting with sobs. Beast Fu, strip 3 generations of the family? Xue, locate the wolf car GPS. EMP pulse interception. Shaoli, the guard blocked the road. Han Xiao's original film backup court projection. The final court session is tonight. The ironclad evidence is all locked up. Mu Xue's black clothes are wet and the green light is flashing wildly. Intercepting Fu Hailang's ultimatum, one eye widened with fear, his hands shaking with sweat, he hit the screen and said, Sister Zhi. 5 wolves are driving 300 meters away from the mother's apartment. The hot search for leaf-peeling bitch's house is live broadcast on shadowsnake.com. The dispatch of the police car is done. EMP is in place. Electromagnetic blast wolf engine. Xiao Litsong's face and legs were soft and the steps were popped. The hot cocoa was left in the stall and the skin was burning and the smell was pungent. His voice broke out in admiration. Lawyer's magic. I retweeted the hot search Fu money laundering wolf head. And the jurywoman's private message cracked. The wolf is coming. Han Xiao's arms wrapped in flesh and blood gauze squeaked, and the smell of blood oozed into his nose. His pale face was swollen and only the eye slits were exposed. He trembled and held up the wall and growled. The original USB drive. Black Wolf's true face. Chen Shufang's full murder record, synthesized to replace Ye Chen's face. Pixel noise 0.8 natural. Clock second jitter 0.2. The court broadcasts Fu. A dark cloud in Ye Zhi's heart crushed the despair. Fu's temporary detention was only postponed. The big smile of the old shadow snake infiltrated the top judicial officials. The skinning of mother and daughter was broadcast live in the city. A black tide of public opinion swallowed the sky, and the warm current of Ye Chen's prison chain grinding blood on the envelope was only an ember. But the chain of ironclad evidence was woven like a steel mesh. Ghost mirror black market IP shop. Hand change timestamp to 7 points. DNA blood test tube synthesis table. Money laundering check wolf head pile. Ghost eye disassembly recording. Chan's suicide note blood acupressure. She punched the briefcase and flew away with a bang. Her blue light glasses exploded with cold shots, and she whispered like a knife. Hold on. The mother and sister moved to the dark alley. Mu Xue broadcast the original comparison on the cloud, and the second final court summons was called urgently. The judge's hammer cannot block justice. The engine of the wolf car roared loudly and made the iron gates of the apartment tremble. The infrared lampposts chewed bones and fogged the wall. The black wolf smashed the mace with a scarred face and smashed the air. The red dot on the muzzle Didi shook the lock mother curtains. The smell of blood filled the nostrils and shouted, Ye bitch! Fu Jiabao strips off the mother first, then strips off the girl Liv. Mu Xue's motorcycle boomed, and Ye Chen's EMP pulse sizzled, and the green arc flashed. The wolf car's engine popped and sparks flew everywhere, and the driver's pale face twisted in fear and screamed, Electromagnetic ghost. The internet is disconnected. She jumped on the roof of the car in black clothes, and the green light was dazzling during the live broadcast on her mobile phone. Sister Zhi, my mother and sister are safely evacuated. The hot search wolf car paramedic threat exploded by 5 million. And all the jurors woke up. Splashing rearview wolf lights, distorted gunshots, bang bang. Shattered mirrors and heat waves stabbed in the face. Shaoli, the co-pilot's legs shook and collapsed in worship. The lawyer is against the sky. The siren Wu Wu is pressing down on the situation. The ghost in the black wolf has a private message. The boss of the shadow snake is hunting himself. Fu Cheesy abandons. The sultry and bloody diesel folder in the basement of the office upgrades the steamer. The iron door bang locks Xiaoli's face with sweat and rain. Ye Zhi's briefcase snaps, hits the steel table, and the full-scale projection jumps over the wall. Chen's suicide note with bloody fingers is twisted. Fu threatened to synthesize Ye Chen, and the shadow snake debt will kill me to silence. Fu's signature is read. Mu Xue House safe deposit box. Money laundering checks are stacked. Judicial. Infiltration of the Supreme Court President. Ghost Eye Wharf's recording ZZ Ghost crying. The ghost mirror blood wolf is installed in the study room, directly connected to Fu's dark network synthesis, and the pixel brushing is offset by 3 degrees. Han Xiao weakly pointed at the screen with red eyes. The original U-disc? Played. The tablet buzzed hot, and the real face of the Black Wolf appeared in Chen's study room. The scarred wolf head tattoo on the chest and the blood arc spread naturally. Mr. Chen fell to the ground with a muffled after being stabbed. The clock in second hand shook for 0.2 milliseconds without CG marks, and no watermark replaced Ye Chen's face. The reflection of Mu Xue's pupils trembled with admiration. Sister Xi's divine lock. The Blood Wolf database was completely hacked. Fu transferred the Shadow Snake's live transaction video backup. The final court projection exploded. The Iron Curtain pressed down on the city in the foggy night, and in the final 3 days, the shadow of the lead cloud swallowed up the vault of the courtyard. The oak door was thrown open with a bang. Ye Zhi's high heels tapped the marble, and the heartbeat of the war drum was running around. The briefcase's USB flash drive, Iron Fist tablet, and the blue light blasted all the certificates. The wolf pack of reporters flashed and gunshots exploded, and the trend of hot searches reversed. Fu Longtou's live broadcast of money laundering made the headlines engulf the sky. The woman on the jury hesitated and turned to doubt on Facebook. Her eyes flashed with admiration and whispered, "Lawyer Ye, iron proof?" Ye Chen's hands were stained with blood on the iron chain in the dock, and Ye Zhi's pale face, flaming eyes and iron-blooded trust burned, and he roared, "Lawyer Zhi God!" Fu Han came back from the prosecutor's seat with a grim smile reflecting on his face, and pressed the court with a bang. Ye Feifei has hacked all the evidence. The Shadow Snake fights with Ye Chen, and the evidence is sealed. The judge said with a grim look on his face. In the final court, the ghost-eyed Han Xiao is summoned. Evidence review. Ye Zhi stood up, blue light pierced the air, and his voice cut through the silence with an ice blade. "Your Excellency, Mu Xue safe laundered all the money." His finger flew to the tablet and clicked, and the projection jumped over the wall and signed the Wolfhead check stack Judicial Infiltration Supreme Court President, and the digital scan cloud backup flashed. The juror woman covered her mouth with her hands and gasped, her pupils shrinking. The man's eyes were red and he growled and trembled. "Fu, wolf-headed sign?" Fu Han fisted the speech script and cracked it. His face turned pale, his glasses slid down his nose and he yelled in denial. "Forgery hacker. Mu Xue's crime of terrorism, money laundering and internal fighting evidence." The cracks in the psychological defense burst and the black hole of ambition swallowed fear. The old Shadow Snake turned to bite the tiger, and the high-level infiltration appetizer was exposed and locked up. He whispered and trembled. "Fake? All fake." Mu Xue's headset ghost whispers in the witness box, low and black, and the green light of the mobile phone buzzes to push the hot search live broadcast. Sister Xi, the entire Blood Wolf intranet is exposed. Fu's transfer Shadow Snake trading video. Ye Zhi press forward step by step. The chain is locked. The Ghost Mirror Black Market IP Fu private server. Hand change timestamp 7 points. Warehouse synthetic DNA old blood test tube pixel brush 3. The one-eyed witness Shitsong's face was distorted with fear and admiration, and his voice was broken. The Blood Wolf pretended to be in Chen's study, and it was directly connected to Fu's dark network. "I disassembled the wolf head and made a signature, and I secretly photographed it and synthesized the blood test tube." The juror's wife trembled and whispered, "God's evidence. Supervisor Fu." The man punched the armrest and burst out, "Gangster prosecutor." Han Xiao was pushed into the witness box in a wheelchair with stinking bloody gauze. Her pale face was swollen and her eyes were slitted. Her hand was shaking and a USB flash drive was plugged into the court host. The original clip jumped onto the big screen. The fog in Chen's study was rotten. The hidden camera was the real knife in Scar's face. Mr. Chen's blood sprayed in a natural arc. The track of the clock in second hand jittered for 0.2 milliseconds. The noise was 0.8 pixels without CG. And Fu's handwriting on the wolf head tattoo on the floor was covered up with new paint. There is no face replacement of Ye Chen in the picture, just the complete recording of the Black Wolf murder. After the whole court was silent, the juror woman screamed and collapsed. "The real murderous Black Wolf. Fu Huqing put the blame on it." The man stood up and shouted admiring Ye Zhi. "The lawyer is smarter than the gods. The original irrefutable evidence is burning to the sky." Fu Han's legs were soft and the sliding chair popped. His glasses shattered and the rain pricked his face. Suddenly, the iron gate of the court side door burst open, and the black wolf scar appeared with a wolf head tattoo on his face. The gun clicked and loaded. The smell of blood and red dots locked Ye Zhi's chest and shouted, "Fu waste! I will silence the whole city." He smashed the mace into the air. In the mist, more than 10 gunmen with shadows, snakes, laughing faces, tigers, and black shadows rushed into the gunfire. The whole court was in chaos. The reporter screamed and fell to the ground in a pool of blood. The woman on the jury held her head and trembled in fear and burst into tears. The gang murderer showed up? Ye Chen's iron chain Kung pulled the blood on his hand and grated it and growled, "Lawyer Zhi, God protects you." Mu Xue wore EMP in black. The pulsing, sizzling green electricity flashed, and the black wolf guns were paralyzed and sparks flew. His pale face was twisted and the muzzle of the gun was locked on Fu Han. "Fu chess piece. The boss abandoned you and skinned you." The old man of the shadow snake, the big smiley tiger, whispered coldly, "Fu, the appetizer is defeated. Withdraw." The judge's hammer banged violently and roared. The guards closed the court. Fu perjured himself and gangsters colluded, and he was arrested on the spot. The bailiff clicked and handcuffed Fu Han. His knees hit the ground and popped. His eyes were red and he broke down and screamed, "Shadow Snake, spare your life." The jury's eyes widened and they burst into admiration. The woman whispered in tears and trembled, "Lawyer Yi defies heaven. Justice is reborn." The man raised his fist. "Crush with wisdom. Ye Chen is not guilty." Ye Zhi, the fog in her light glasses made her heart burst with warmth, and the U-disc in her briefcase was heated with steel flames of victory. She rushed to the dock with high heels and hugged Ye Chen, untying the iron chain and caressing his back with bloody hands. He buried his pale face in his neck and roared gratefully, "Lawyer Zhi, save God. Pledge eternal life." The whole court applauded with thunderous pops that shook the ceiling. Reporters flashed and blasted the hot search. Fu catcher black wolf appears. Ye Lucian's reversal swallowed the sky, and the dark tide of public opinion was wiped out. But on a foggy night, there was a crack in the lead cloud on the vault. During the EMP shootout, the black wolf was paralyzed by Shadow Snake Old Man with a big smile, and was dragged away by the side door. The iron gate was bombarded with broken glass and rain. He looked back at the wolf's eyes, red and thorny, Ye Zhi's blue light, and the blood-stinking roar echoed, "Ye bitch! Shadow Snake's net is fully open, I'll peel you off. The entire city is being slaughtered with my own hands." Mu Xue's waterproof mobile phone flashed green light to locate the location. Sister Zhi, the boss of Shadow Snake, escaped from the darknet IP back alley warehouse. The live transaction video locked the whereabouts. Ye Zhi hugged Ye Chen's arms tightly. His pupils were cold and misty. The aftermath of the psychological game is like an undercurrent. The gang leader escapes and swears blood revenge. The glimmer of justice continues the iron-blooded battle. She roars, "Chase!" Mu Xue hacks the entire darknet chain. Xue, the ghost in the eyes, locates the old laughing tiger. The conspiracy is not extinguished, and the reversal will not stop. Xiaoli's pale-faced admiration burst into tears outside the door. "Lawyer Yongshan." Han Xiao gasped in a wheelchair and raised his fists. "The original ironclad evidence is burning. Destroy the Shadow Snake." The foggy waves crack, ghosts cry. The wolf's howl gathers the tide of death, and the night vision switch of blue light glasses locks the black shadow of the warehouse. The wall of fog slapped the window glass like rotten flesh and bones. The van's engine roared and crushed the puddles with blood-red reflections. Ye Zhi's blue light glasses night vision pierced the dark alley with green light, and Mu Xue's motorcycle followed her green light mobile phone, buzzing and flashing darknet IP to lock the warehouse iron door, which was rusty and dripping with the smell of blood. The rearview mirror reverberates with howling wolves. The scarred face of the black wolf distorts the gun smoke. The old Shadow Snake laughs and the tiger flees like ghosts. The hot search Yelv Shun catches Fu Lang's head shootout live broadcast, swallows 8 million in the sky, and the reporter Wolfpack follows with a flash of click. That is bone-piercing. Xiaoli, the co-pilot, banged the gear with sweat on his pale face, his legs trembling with admiration, and growled, "Lawyer Yongshan." Private message from the ghost eyes of the black wolf in the warehouse. Old laughing-faced tiger burned the server himself and destroyed the entire original USB disk chain. But the IP jumped to Mr. Chen's villa. The fog is hidden in the sea. and the blood wolf debt of 500 million is locked with ironclad evidence. Ye Zhi fisted the steering wheel and the skin cracked. His fingertips were hot and the USB flash drive in his briefcase was pulsing with steel flames. The dark clouds in his heart were crushing the despair. Although the court hammer fell on Fu Han's knees and smashed the prison lock, the shadow snake laughed and the face tiger had high judicial penetration. Smiling tiger paws on every floor. A pool of blood in Mr. Chen's villa with a wolf head tattooed with Fu's new handwriting. The server was burned to silence the whole city, and the live broadcast of the family stripping has not stopped. Ye Chen's iron chain untied the blood and his hands were warm and only ashes. Public opinion was wiped out. Hot search reversed the jurywoman. People burst into tears and worshipped Ye Chen. But the old laughing-faced tiger darknet transaction video was backed up in the cloud. Mu Xue was only half a link in the full download of the Blood Wolf database, and donations from relatives of high-level mayors were swallowed up in the sky. Her pupils shrank and her rusty throat burst with sobs. Snow, the GPS of Chen's villa, was relocked. The ghost in the eyes located the entrance to the secret grid. Xiao Li's guard sealed the foggy road, and Han Xiao's wheelchair was equipped with a recording pinhole. The confrontation forced a confession. Master Fu recorded and destroyed the shadow snake network. Mu Xue's black clothes were wet and her back was covered with dirt. The green light of her waterproof mobile phone sizzled and hacked into the security of Chen's villa. Pa! The power was cut off and the fog lights went out. Her one-eyed eyes were rounded with fear. Her hands were shaking with sweat and she smashed the screen with admiration and trembling. Sister Zhi is a master of calculations. The villa's iron fence smells of rust and blood, and the black wolf's gunshot wound drags the traces are streaked with blood, and the dark web live broadcast of the leaf-peeling bitch's family is warming up to tens of millions. The old laughing tiger personally supervises the burning of the machine, the EMP is in place, and the pinhole live broadcast is locked in the cloud. Han Xiao's wheelchair creaked as the blood gauze oozed out, and the smell hit his nose. His pale face was swollen and his eyes were red and slit, and he was wheezing and punching weakly. The hand bang. Original UDisc cloud backup. The old laughing tiger blew up Fu's transfer video. I recorded his smiling tiger's mouth. Sister God, destroy it. Ye Chen's iron-blooded face in the back seat burned with wolf flames. His bloody hand touched Ye Zhi's arm and he growled gratefully. Lawyer Zhi, fight to the death. Shadow Snake's blood debt. The senior executives of our company's network locked donated money. Xiao Litsong burst into tears and pushed the wheelchair. His legs were soft and slippery, and he burst into admiration. The foggy iron gate of Mr. Chen's villa is clanging and decaying. The smell of blood and rust from the cracks of the oak door, and the black smoke from the burnt servers are shishi. The moonlight is reflected in the biting rain of broken glass, and the wolf head tattoo on the floor is half covered. Ye Zhi's high-heeled flat boots clicked against the slippery marble, and his blue light glasses scanned the heat source with green light. The figures of smiling tigers in the depths of the dark grid filled the gun bolts with a click-click sound, and the flames burning the machine click-click, licked the iron table to synthesize DNA test tubes, and the debris of the DNA test tube spread unnaturally in a pool of blood. Mu Xue, a ghost in black, leaped over the wall and the EMP pulse flashed green. The lights in the villa extinguished the fog and the wall gnawed at the bones. Her pinhole phone buzzed and pushed the live broadcast with a dazzling green light. Sister Zhi, come in. The whole team sneaked into the secret compartment and smashed open the iron door. The stench of blood and the burnt smelly folder were filled with ashes floating in the air. Shadow Snake old man with a big smile and a tiger face sat alone on an iron chair. The scarred wolf's head was distorted by the lights, with a fake smile on his face. The cracked red eye sockets were deep in the muzzle. The red dot Didi locked the door. The mace hit the air with a hoo, and the blood arc was natural. He roared with a ferocious smile and sprayed blood bubbles. Ye bitch! Fu's waist chest piece captures the lock and I'm appetizing. I'll strip your mother and sister live for the whole city. Shadowsnake.com's top management donates money to swallow the sky. The original UDisc burned to ashes. The judicial infiltration of the mayor's relatives will always smile. Ye Zhi's blue light and cold light swallowed up the empty briefcase and popped the steel table. The projection jumped onto the wall and Mu Xue horrified the Blood Wolf database full file. Fu transfer live video. Money laundering wolf head check pile. Judicial infiltration of the Supreme Court president. Ghost Eye Wharf recording Ye Zhi ghost crying pixel drawing offset 3 times. Mu Xue, dressed in black and trembling with one eye, admired the reflection, and the pinhole of her phone clicked to record the big smile of the old man with a distorted face. Sister Zhi is locked up. The boss is shaking with his gun. Record. The old man's big smile cracked when he pinched the handle of the gun with his fist, his fake smile shattered, his teeth bared, his legs popped, the soft sliding chair popped. His psychological defenses were like rain of glass piercing his face. Swallowed by fear, the black hole of high-level donations was exposed and locked, and the bloody wolf's vanguard dragged on in a gun battle. The fugitive conspirator turned against the enemy. Master Fu's transfer video in cloud backup went viral. He distorted his face and yelled in denial. Fake horror. Mu Xue is scary. Ye bitch bought a certificate and fought among themselves. But Ye Zhi pressed forward step by step and his voice was cut to death by an ice blade. G. Confessions are recorded. 3 degrees of hand-adjusted light and shadow on the table under the supervision of Fu's warehouse, pixel drawing of DNA blood test tubes, direct connection to the ghost mirror black market IP, Fu's room, blood finger in the suicide note threatens to blame Ye Chen. The whole chain is locked, self-destruction of the big network or be imprisoned for eternity. Han Xiao's wheelchair squeaked and blood flowed out, his eyes widened and his hands trembling. The original video on the USB flash drive jumped to his mobile phone. Boss! The Black Wolf is really going to kill Chen Chuanlu. Fu signed the wolf's head and pushed the machine to fight. Spare! The old laughing tiger's muzzle trembled with a pop and scratched the wall, causing sparks to sting his nose. His sweat hit the steel table with a pop, and his red eyes exploded into a black hole of regret. Mastermind Fu! He threatened me with a debt of 500 million to kill Chen Huqing and Ye Chen's face. He transferred money and laundered money to infiltrate the network of donations from relatives of the Supreme Court President and the Mayor. The Shadow Snake appetizer will destroy your whole family. The hot search for the live broadcast will fly away. The pinhole recording Ye Zhi ghost language was locked in the cloud, and he hit his knees on the ground with a pop, and screamed and collapsed. Spare my life. De Wang blew himself up and destroyed the server. Mu Xue's eyes narrowed and she shouted in admiration. Sister Zhi is so powerful. The confession is full, the Blood Wolf database is complete. The old man is smiling with a pale face and weak legs. The guard burst into tears and pushed the guard. Woo! The siren shouted. Lawyer is smart. The hot search for Shadow Snake self-destructs Master Fu is swallowed up by millions. Ye Chen clenched Ye Zhi's arm with his bloody hand and roared with iron blood and gratitude. God's law. Steel flame of justice. The police lights in the sea of fog woo-woo tore through the iron fences and clanged to suppress the siege. The wolves of the bailiffs rushed in bang-bang and loaded the red dot lock with the gun bolt. His wolf eyes were red and he exploded and roared in the echo. Master Fu! See. The mayor of France is a relative of the Supreme Court President. But the bailiff cuffed his knees with a click, and a pool of blood flowed out of his face. His fake smile was broken and his teeth screamed for mercy. His glasses did not need to be broken in fear and his tears were mixed with blood. Mu Xue's green light mobile phone recording live broadcast buzzed hot search explosion. The jurywoman forwarded a private message. Ye Chen defies the sky. The Shadow Snake defeated Fu Lok to death. The man punched the screen and worshipped with his red eyes. The lawyer's wisdom is burning to the sky. Han Xiao, who was wheelchair-bound, gasped with weak fists and worshipped. Original irrefutable evidence and confession. The god will destroy the Shadow Snake. The Ghost Eye private message green light flashed to locate the remaining party members. The boss is arrested. Sister Zhi is the eternal god. Ye Zhi's blue light glasses are filled with mist and warmth, and the briefcase is woven with hot steel mesh. The confession recording is locked by Master Fu. The wolf-head Fu's handwriting is hidden in the Chen villa, and Mu Xue is fully prepared in the cloud. She rushed out of the iron gate with high heels and hugged Ye Chen's bloody arms. He buried his pale face in his neck and roared gratefully. Lawyer Zhi free steel flames. Enterprise Network locks high-level officials to donate money and swear eternal life. Shaoli burst into tears and pushed his wheelchair in admiration. Closing speech is prepared. Fu Yusua's big network self-destructed. Justice was reborn. The fog wall sirens in the city thundered. and the reporters flashed and exploded. The hot search Ye Lu shadow snake master Fu self-destructed, swallowed up the sky, and the black tide of public opinion was wiped out. But deep inside the iron curtain of the prison, Fu Han's prison was stuffy, blood-smelling, rotting diesel steamer. The iron door locked him with a bang, his livid face, his glasses shattered, the rain pricked his hands, his knees hit the ground and he screamed. The aftermath is still lingering. The shadow snake bit the throat of his abandoned son, the old laughing face confessed to the mastermind, and the high-level donations were exposed and he will be imprisoned forever. He punched the iron fence and flew away with a bang, and whispered with a sinister smile distorting the plan. Mysterious witness. Revealing the irrefutable evidence. The self-destruction of the Shadow Snake Network is just an appetizer. The relative of the Supreme Court president is a traitor, and Ye bitch is skinning and live broadcasting her revenge. The jailer whispered a private message with a green light flashing, and the fear of Fu Zi's black hole turned to a sinister smile. The jailbreak network is open, and the court will explode on the same day as the case is concluded. On the day of the final trial, the oak doors squeaked, and the foggy lead hook wrapped around the marble, which was slippery and cold. Ye Zhi's briefcase USB flash drive contained steel flames pulsating and blue light glasses shot the whole certificate in preparation for closing the case. Ye Chen regained his freedom and had a premonition of steel flames soaring into the sky. The reporter's wolf pack flashed with a dazzling click, and the hot search headline Fu Mastermind locked up the shadow snake and collapsed, was forever swallowed up. But the iron gate of the side door burst open, and the shadows of Fu Han's mysterious witnesses appeared, and the court was locked with a grim smile without a red dot. The ghostly cry cut the silence. Reversal of the irrefutable evidence. Video of the spy of the relative of the Supreme Court president. The whole chain was reversed. Ye Zhi bought the evidence to scare the black wolf. The whole court was dead silent. Mu Xue's green light phone buzzed wildly to send private messages. The ghost in the ghost eyes located the dark shadow of a high-level executive. The foggy waves popped and howled. Ghosts gathered. The blue light night vision switch locked the mysterious witness with red wolf eyes. The lingering sound of the iron gate of the oak side door of the courtroom slamming open still echoes in my ears. The fog is like a lead hook wrapped around the slippery and cold marble floor. The pungent smell of rotting diesel oil mixed with the stench of blood and rust oozes from Fu Han's prison. The mysterious witness slowly steps in black, with a sinister smile on his pale face and twisted wolf eyes that flash red. The lock of the portable iron box snaps open and is thrown out. The buzzing green light of the projector pierced the dead silence of the whole court, and the scene of the clock's second hand moving straight to the ceiling appeared. Ye Zhi's blue light glasses, night vision with green light, private message ghost eyes to locate the ghost in Chen's villa, and Mu Xue's pixel drawing of the Blood Wolf database's three-dimensional offset synthesis traces. The whole chain was reversed into lawyer Ye bought a certificate to hack the Black Wolf, and the shadow snake self-destructed in a fake show of internal fighting. The woman on the jury covered her mouth with her hands and screamed, "Ah," and gasped. Her pupils shrunk to pinpoints and trembled with sweat as she hit the wooden chair. "Pa pa." The middle-aged man fisted the armrest and his veins burst. His red eyes widened and he growled, "Lawyer Ye bought a certificate?" The hot search detective turned into a bitch. The judge's hammer was hanging in the air. His face was ashen and his throat was choked with sobs. Fu Han unlocked the iron chain on the side door, and the grinning jailer whispered a private message with a green light. His glasses were shattered and the rain pricked his hands and knees. He stood up on his hands and knees and his voice was filled with ghostly cries. He cut the silence. The mysterious witness has irrefutable evidence. The Supreme Court chief's relative's video of Ye Zhi's death. The original USB flash drive. The cloud-prepared pixels are naturally smooth and smooth a comeback. The reporters in the court were flashing crack crack crack, and the hot search Lu bought a certificate to scare the Black Wolf, Shadow and Snake fake show instantly swallowed up 8 million, and the black tide of public opinion was like a sea of fog, biting back the bones, and Ye Chen buried his face and punched the table. Bang bloodstreaks seeped through the wood, Han Xiao's wheelchair squeaked and slid. The blood gauze oozed and smelled. Her face was swollen and her eyes were red and her eyes were slit. She was gasping for breath and whispered, "Fake? Sister Zhi." Mu Xue's black clothes were wet and stuck to her back. The green light on her phone buzzed and flashed with private messages. Her one eye widened in fear and her hands shook with sweat and smashed the screen. The steel flames in Ye Zhi's briefcase pulsate, the cold light of his glasses gnaws into the sky, and the dark clouds in his heart are filled with despair, crushing like a hammer on his spine. The top management of the big network is choked by a ghost. The mysterious witness's wolf eyes are red. Fuyu plans a comeback. The jury is shaken, hot searches are gone. The steel flames of justice are just ashes. Her high-heeled flat boots tapped. He tapped on the slippery marble and stood up. His voice was cut into silence by the ice blade. Your Majesty, this certificate is forged. Mu Xue, hack in immediately. Mu Xue's ghostly fingers in black danced with green light. Ye Zhi pulses flashed on her phone. Her one-eyed admiration reflected Ye Zhi's cold glow. Roar. Sister Zhi, the pressure is great. The IP of the witness equipment is directly connected to Fu's private server, and the black market ghost mirror is synthesized in the back alley warehouse. In the dead silence of the whole court, a mysterious witness appeared on the projection of the heat source of the iron box and the green light was locked, and the source of the picture jumped to the disguise of Mr. Chen's villa study, but the clock in second hand were see traces of 0.2 millisecond jitter, blood pool spreading unnaturally 0.8 pixels/frame, light and shadow softly shifted by 3 degrees. Mu Xue's voice trembled and exploded. The pixel noise is abnormal. The original backup has been manually modified by 7 minutes, and the ghost eye dismantling machine and the wolf head signature mark are directly connected to the dark web studio. The juror woman's pupils shrank again and her needle-pointed hands shook. The wooden chair creaked and cracked. The man's red eyes were round and he was sweating and smashed the table. The real record of the ghost in Qi. But Ye Zhi pressed the briefcase step by step and smashed the evidence table. The projection was fully locked. The original clip of Han Xiao's USB flash drive appeared in Mr. Chen's study. The hidden camera, the black wolf, was stabbed in the chest. His face was full of scars, wolf head tattoos, gunshot wounds, trailing traces of blood and no replacement. Ye Chen's face was stained with blood, noise, and the real trajectory of the natural clock's second hand. Mu Xue verified the buzzing push broadcast without watermark. Ye Zhi's voice was cut by steel flames. Refutation 1 by 1. 1. The pixel drawing of the picture was offset by 3 degrees. The warehouse synthesis machine operator personally supervised the light and shadow angles and put it into the mirror and burned it. And the ghost eyes secretly photographed DNA and blood test tubes and slag, which is irrefutable evidence. 2. IP back alley warehouse blood wolf costume presentation Feng Chuan Fu's office was synthesized, and all files in Mu Xue's blood wolf database were locked. 3. The handwriting of the wolf head Fu in Mr. Chen's villa was covered up with new paint. The server was burned and the original USB flash drive was burned, and the ashes floated, and the suicide note was imprinted with the wolf head Fu's signature. A debt of 500 million was threatened to blame Ye Chen's appetizer. Han Xiao's wheelchair creaked as he pushed forward. The smell of blood, gauze and mist hit his nose. His pale face was swollen and his eyes were rounded. His hands were shaking. The original cloud backup on his USB flash drive was recorded on his mobile phone. The old snake laughed and the tiger blew himself up. I witnessed the black wolf kill Chan Chuanlu. Fu intercepted and tampered with it. Replacing Ye Chen's face, the doc delivered the original clip to threaten to retract the confession. Spare the life of the goddess. The man on the jury punched the table and burst into tears in admiration. Witness Han's original and irrefutable evidence is locked to death. Ye Chen Tai Xue stood up in the back seat and touched his arms with blood, grateful for the burning of the wolf flames, and growled. The hotel meeting recording timestamp is 7 minutes off. Manual tampering confirmation. Corporate network lock executives donated money to the infiltration. I am innocent. Steel flame. The reporters in the court flashed crack, and the bone-chilling hot search illusion suppressed the mysterious certificate forgery collapse, swallowed the sky. The juror woman smashed the wooden chair with tears, covered her mouth with her hands and turned to worship trembling. Ye Chen justice is reborn. Fu Han's livid face, his glasses shattered. The rain pricked the floor. His knees smashed to the ground with a howl and collapsed, and his psychological defense line shattered like glass with a pop. Fear swallowed a black hole. Shadow Snake laughed and confessed to the mastermind of the self-destruction. Mu Xue hacked Fu's safe, laundered money, stacked wolf-headed checks. Judicial infiltration of the Supreme Court president. Ghost eye peers recording pixels were drawn and locked. The sinister smile turned into a whisper and he confessed. Part of the crime. The evidence was synthesized to threaten Mr. Chen, and the death of the shadow snake was appetizing. But Ye Zhi bought the certificate. The voice was as weak as a ghost crying. The mysterious witness's black shadow legs were soft and slid against the iron box. Pop! The wolf's eyes were red with fear, and tears were mixed with blood. The judge had a gray face, the hammer was hanging in the air, and his throat was choked with sobs. Before the jury left the court, the woman raised her fist and burst out in admiration. Lawyer Ye's peak game. The victory is like a steel flame. The man's red eyes worshipped and roared. Intelligence is beyond the sky. Fu collapses and will be imprisoned forever. The low-pitched whistle of the siren outside the fog wall eased. The fog on the marble floor of the courtroom receded and the sun warmed. Broken glass rain penetrated the window cracks. Ye Zhi's blue light glasses condensed in the fog and the warm current burst. The briefcase was hot and woven with victory steel mesh. The confession recording Fu admitted part. God, the secret certificate was forged and real-time hacked, and Han Xiao and Ye Chen joined the original broadcast link of the certificate. She tapped Ye Chen's bloody arm with her high heels, and he buried his pale face in his neck and roared gratefully. Lawyer Zhi, freedom is forever. Enterprises revived and donated money to lock the high-level black hole. Mu Xue, the trembling one-eyed admiration reflected the green light on the mobile phone and pushed the hot search, Yilu Miafu's comeback. The mysterious evidence is forged, 20 million swallowing the sky, roaring. Sister Zhi is a divination. The Blood Wolf intranet is fully prepared, and the remaining parties of the judicial network are positioned by the ghost eyes. Han Xiao gasped in the wheelchair and punched the support with a weak fist. The bloody gauze on his hand was bang, and he was grateful. The original USB flash drive and the confession will destroy the whole network. Vice Chairman Xiao Li's face burst into tears, his legs softened, and he pushed the door and worshipped. The aftermath of the lawyer's reputation is so great. The firm's phone is buzzing, and the clients are pouring out the fog to worship the eternal God. The afterglow of the police lights in the fog sea in the city tore through the iron gates with a clang and a low sound, and the wolf pack of reporters followed with an endless click. The hot search headline: Ye Zhi's peak reversal in court and Fu Han's collapse admitted. 30 million swallowed the sky, and the public opinion turned to ashes and steel flames shot into the sky. The juror woman forwarded a private message to the Ye Chen Justice Steel Network, and the man punched the screen live and worshipped with red eyes. Zhi pressure burns the sky. Fu Yu's big network self-explodes to appetize. The oak door of Ye Zhi's office squeaked as he opened the hot cocoa-scented folder. The smell of Shengli's wine filled his nostrils. The remaining warmth of the Blu-ray projection of the USB flash drive in the briefcase pulsated. The new client's straight suit hit the floor with beads of sweat, kneeling in admiration. Lawyer Ye, take over the shady case. Double the remuneration, and your reputation will be sky-high. Mu Xue's green light phone buzzed and pushed the cloud back up. Later, the wet black clothes turned dry and he smiled softly. Sister Zhi has harvested the treasure of status. Fu's money laundering check from the safe was scanned into the digital vault, and the company's Ye Chen donated 500 million to the Justice Fund. Ye Chen's iron-blooded face was wolf-flamed and his blood-burning hands were clenched. Lawyer's redemption, swearing to report the ghost in the company's high-level network lock. The mysterious witness wolf eyes remaining party. Let's continue the fight. Xiao Li pushed the wheelchair Han Xiao and his legs were soft and slippery. He burst into tears with a pop. The aftermath of the case. The hot search will always be swallowed up. The lawyer's hall-level arrest. Private message from the ghost eye, green light flashed, the inner ghost positioned the high-level shadow, and the rest of the party feared and worshipped. Sister Zhi locked up Fu Wang, the president of the Supreme Court. The relatives molest is being positioned. The world has changed because of Ye Zhi's steel flames. The foggy wall in the lawyer's circle collapsed, clients flocked to ironclad evidence to seek justice, the steel mesh of media headlines became famous, the status rose to the top law, and the digital vault of treasure laundering checks pulsated with a 500 million justice fund. But Ye Zhi's pupils shrank and the blue light swept through the foggy sea outside the window, and she had a premonition of a dark cloud in the warm current of victory. The ghosts in the top brass of the judicial network were not eliminated, and the aftermath of Fu Yu's plan was a sinister laugh. The judge's high-hanging oak door creaked and cut silently, and the slippery lead hook of the marble retreated away from the warm sun. The moment the verdict was announced, the whole court held its breath and locked eyes. The defendant Ye Chen is not guilty. The juror's wife burst into tears and raised her fists in worship, with thunderous applause, and the reporter's flash click, and the hot search exploded. But the red dot DD of the hidden camera on the ceiling suddenly flashed with green light, and the live broadcast intervened. The screen jumped into the scene of the Supreme Court President's relative's black shadow and red self-explosion video Ye Zhi ghost cry. Fu Han escaped from prison and opened the whole chain. The Shadow Snake Network's peak donation of judicial corruption black hole swallowed the sky. The final truth was exposed and the ironclad evidence locked the whole court into silence. Ye Zhi's blue light and cold light ate the hollow heart and the steel flames reignited. The peak of the network, reversal and continuation of the war? The oak door of the courtroom banged and the aftershocks still lingered. The mist on the marble floor was like a lead hook wrapped around the ankle, slippery and biting. The warm sun and the rain of broken glass stabbed the window cracks, but it was suddenly cold. The smell of diesel, rotten blood, iron and rust in the air was mixed with the smell of newly scorched electricity. The ceiling concealed the machine's red DD flashed green like a ghost's eye resurrected, and the live broadcast Ye Zhi cut through the dead silence and the whole court appeared. The iron grid in Fu Han's prison clanged shattered. The grinning jailer whispered, the old shadow snake laughed, the tiger faced the black shadow, and the Supreme Court President's relatives had red eyes. He roared and exploded. Ye Zhi bribed the hacker Mu Xue to forge the entire intranet of Bloodwolf. Fu Han was acquitted by the prison lock, and Steel Flame faked the show. And all the top donations from the Justice Black Hole Swallowing Sky Judicial Network were exposed. The original live broadcast was locked. The picture pixels were brushed and shifted 3 times. The clock in second hand shook for 0.2 milliseconds, and the pool of blood spread for 0.8 pixels unnaturally. Fu Han's livid face twisted the iron chain to unlock the window, and pushed the window into a sea of fog with a livid smile. His voice screamed like a ghost. Lawyer Ye is the shady mastermind, and the relative of the Supreme Court President has irrefutable proof that the USB flash drive has not been tampered with. Dead silence broke out in the whole court. The woman on the jury shrank her pupils and covered her mouth with her needle-pointed hands. She screamed, gasped, trembled, and sweat dropped as she hit the wooden chair with cracks. The middle-aged man fisted the armrest and the veins burst. His red eyes widened and he roared, his throat choked with sobs. Another reversal? Lawyer Ye bought a certificate and faked the internal fight between black wolves and snakes, and the justice was in vain. The reporter wolves flashed click, click, click. The thunderous hot search Ye Zhi's shady self-explosion, the Supreme Court President's relative's live broadcast of Fu Zixin, swallowed up 8 million in an instant, and the black tide was like a sea of fog, chewing bones and backlashing again. Ye Chen buried his head in iron-blooded face and punched the table. Bang bloodshot would seep through the wood and growled in despair. Lawyer Zhi. A big net choked the throat. Han Xiao's wheelchair squeaked, as the blood gauze smelled and smelled. His face was swollen and his eyes were red. Breathing weakly. The live broadcast is fake? The mole. Mu Xue's black clothes are wet and the green light on her back is buzzing. The green light on her phone is buzzing. Her one eye is rounded in fear. Her hands are shaking with sweat and she is smashing the screen. Pop! Deputy Seat Xiaoli's face is pale and her legs are slippery with tears. She pushes the door and squeaks. The lawyer is overwhelmed by the aftermath. The black tide of hot searches swallows the sky, and the client's sea of fog recedes to dispel fear. The judge's gray-faced iron hammer hangs in the air from his throat. The choked sobs turned livid, and the silence was cut off. Emergency adjournment. Live broadcast to verify the irrefutable evidence. The public opinion in the court was turned into ashes, and the steel flames were only embers. Ye Zhi's blue light glasses were cold and hollow, and the black cloud filled her head with despair and crushing her like a hammer. The high-level ghost of the judicial network self-destructed and live-streamed a chokehold. Fu Yu planned a comeback and continued the fight with the mysterious witness, and the warm stream of justice rained down broken glass. Ye Zhi's high-heeled flat boots tapped the slippery marble and stood up. The steel flames of his briefcase pulsated and the blue light glasses fog swept the red dots on the ceiling. His voice cut through the dead silence with ice blades. Your Honor, this live broadcast is forged and continues. Mu Xue, hack into the source of the ceiling camera in real time and restore the complete forgery process. Mu Xue's ghostly fingers in black snapped and danced with green light on her mobile phone. Exploding, one-eyed worship reflected. Ye Hanmeng growled and trembled. Sister Zhi's pressure. The smallpox ghost mirror IP is directly connected to Fu Yu's private dark network server. The heat source of the black market synthesizer's back alley warehouse is locked. The pixel noise is abnormal. The light and shadow are offset by 3 degrees. The timestamp is manually changed by 7 points. The whole chain is restored, and the video is uploaded to the court for projection. The whole court held their breath and the ceiling green light buzzed back. Mu the snowy cloud hacked into the Blood Wolf intranet, and the full screen appeared. The buzzing green light of the projector pierced the fog and shot directly into the oak ceiling. The picture jumped. The clang of the iron gate in Fu Han's prison. The jailer's whisper was not a prison break, but a synthetic acting, the relative of the Supreme Court president's relative. The black shadow, the red eyes of the wolf, was not a self-destruction but Fu's own supervision. The CG needle jittered for 0.2 milliseconds, the DNA was rendered in a pool of blood, and the slag of Mr. Chen's test tube was rendered and the iron evidence was drawn. Fu smiled and whispered in a distorted voice. Photoshop synthesized the live broadcast, manually adjusted the timestamp to 7 points, wiped out Han Xiao, blamed the snake for debt, and blamed Ye Chen for appetizing, burned the server, pushed for infighting, judicial infiltration, and relatives of the Supreme Court chief. Ye bought a certificate? Fake drama to lock her into steel flames. The juror woman's pupils shrank again, her needle-pointed hands shook, the wooden chair creaked and cracked, and she turned to tears of admiration and hit the table with a pop. The man's red eyes widened with sweat and he smashed the armrest with a pop and burst out with a low roar. Mu Xue is so shocked that he has restored the irrefutable evidence. Fu Yuan synthesized the live broadcast to lock up the mole, and Lawyer Ye cleverly smashed the ceiling. The mysterious witness's black shadow, the residual heat of the iron box. Sizzling, the iron chain. Clicking, the bailiff's red dot lock on the throat, dragging out the oak door. Boom, the permanent lock, Fu Han's side door, the iron gate. Clanging, the jailer pushed in, his pale face distorted, his glasses shattered. The rain pricked the floor, his knees hit the ground. Bang, the scream, the psychological defense line collapsed. Glass, bang bang, shattered fear swallowed the black hole. The forgery process. The whole chain self-destructed? The shadow snake's big smile and the tiger's mouth confessed to the pinhole. The money-laundering wolf head's check stacking. The Supreme Court chief's relative's donation black hole. I admit it. The whole conspiracy is to expand the judicial infiltration network. Ye Chen is innocent. The sound and blood bubbles were as weak as a ghost crying, and the reporters in the court flashed click. To reverse the bone-chilling hot search, Mu Xue resumed the fake live broadcast. Fu Chuanlian collapsed and self-destructed. Tens of millions of people swallowed the sky. The man in the jury punched the table and cried in admiration with red eyes. Lawyer Ye Zhi Shan. The smallpox live broadcast backfired and blocked the big network. Ye Zhi presses the briefcase step by step and smashes the evidence table. The projection is fully locked and appears. Mu Xue has restored the full video. Warehouse synthesis machine AI high-resolution blood wolf with a scar on his face, a wolf head tattoo, a knife on his chest, blood drawn. No replacement of the natural noise on Ye Chen's face. The original USB flash drive hidden in Mr. Chen's study, Han Xiao, a pinhole snake, a laughing tiger, sitting alone on an iron chair burning the server to extinguish the ashes, the suicide note imprinted with blood on the wolf head Fu's signature. The projection of a debt of 500 million, threatening to frame the blame, Fu's safe deposit box for money laundering checks. The digital vault scanning judicial infiltration of relatives of the Supreme Court chief. The ghost eye dock joint recording pixel drawing, dismantling the wolf head Fu's signature directly connected to the dark network. The black wolf shootout in the courtroom EMP paralysis. The snake dragged away the oath and peeled off the Yi family's full record. Mu Xue's green light mobile phone buzzed to promote the full download of the Blood Wolf database in the cloud, and her voice trembled and exploded. Sister Zhigingyan. Shadow Snake Old Man Big laughing. Hu Chen's villa secretly blew up his confession and the live transaction video was locked. The peak of Fu's transfer donation black hole was fully exposed, and the gang disintegrated the iron chain. Han Xiao in the chair squeaked before the bloody gauze was dry and cracked. The smelly fog receded. The pale face was swollen and the eye slits were rounded. The hands were shaking and the USB flash drive showed the original pinhole video of the whole process of the Black Wolf killing Chen, the weak and iron-blooded cutting. The original ironclad evidence is burning to the sky. Fu was intercepted and tampered with. Threatened to withdraw his confession, spare his life. The shadow snake debt killing Chen became Ye Chen's appetizer. Ye Chen stood up in the back seat with bloody hands, stroking his arms with wolf flames burning with gratitude and roaring in gratitude. The hotel meeting recording timestamp was 7 minutes off and was manually tampered with. And the insider in the company's network lockup swore a donation of 500 million to the Justice Fund. The juror woman burst into tears in admiration with her fist raised. Papa! Thunderous applause turned to the man with red eyes and worshipped him and roared. Intelligence is beyond the sky. Fu collapses and is imprisoned forever. And the top mole is locked to death. The judge's gray-faced iron hammer hung high in his throat, choked with sobs, and the warm current cut the silence. The jury unanimously ruled that the defendant Ye Chen was acquitted. Fu Han forged evidence of gangster collusion, and was sentenced to life imprisonment immediately. The gangster's shadow snake blood wolf all collapsed and the arrest order was suppressed in the city. The red dot of the bailiff Didi. Fu Han locked his throat and the iron chain clicked. His knees dragged the oak door, and the iron gate was locked forever. The siren outside the foggy wall whistled woo-oo, and tore the iron grating clang. The whole courtyard was warm and the sun was shining. Broken glass rain pierced the window cracks. The mist receded and the smell of victory was tangy. Xiao Litsong burst into tears and pushed Han Xiao's wheelchair with squeaky admiration. The lawyer's hall is a godsend. Hot search Ye Zhi resumes fake live broadcast Fu lifelong gang collapse. 50 million swallowed up the sky. And the sea of customers flocked to the irrefutable evidence to seek justice. Reporter the Wolfpack followed and flashed clicks like hot search headlines. Steel flames soaring into the sky. The juror woman forwarded a private message. Ye Chen's Justice Steel Network peak. And the man punched the screen live and worshipped with red eyes. Smallpox backfires and burns the sky. Fu Yusua's big network self-destructs. Ye Zhi's blue light glasses fogged up and the warmth burst. His briefcase was hot and the U-disc flat panel projection was pulsating with residual heat. His high heels tapped Ye Chen's bloody arm. He buried his pale face and buried his neck in gratitude and roared with iron blood. Lawyer Zhi vowed to save freedom forever. The company revived and donated 500 million to the Justice Fund to lock up the remaining high-level parties. And the chief barrister joined forces to fight for future cooperation. Mu Xue, trembling in black clothes, fell in admiration with one eye. Yingleguang's mobile phone pushed the pulse of the money laundering check from the digital treasury, and laughed and made an alliance. Han Xiao fist bumped and said, Sister Xue, Brother Han's friend, is irrefutable proof. The Blood Wolf intranet is fully equipped with ghost eyes and private messages to locate the remaining parties to be exterminated. Sister Zhi's divine calculation is eternal. Han Xiao gasped in the wheelchair and punched the armrest. Outside the courtroom, the city was covered in fog and the afterglow of police lights was torn apart. The oak door creaked as the hot cocoa fragrance clip was pushed open, and the metal badge of commendation was shiny. The Attorney General's suit was straight and sweating on the ground, and he knelt down to worship the petition. Lawyer Ye's Peak Game Commendation Gold Medal. The details determine the truth. Justice will be seen again. Steel flames will rise to the sky, and the reputation of the chief lawyer of the firm will be forever sealed. The network is full of blue light that sweeps the whole court under the warm sunshine. My pupils shrink as I stare at the red on the ceiling that will disappear forever. I feel deeply moved. Pixel noise, light and shadow offset. 7-minute timestamp, wolf head signature. The details are irrefutable and the shady story is sealed. Fu Han, the high-level ghost in the judicial network, is jailed for life. The snake blood wolf disintegrates the whole chain. The growing steel flames fly from the ashes of despair and go against the sky. The reader is shocked and shocked by the ultimate pleasure. Ye Chen's iron-blooded wolf flame eternally burns his blood and clenches the invitation to the future. Mu Xue and Han Xiao's friends fist bump with green light. Xiaoli pushes his wheelchair client to worship in the sea of fog, and the world changes because of Ye Zhi. The fog wall in the lawyer circle collapses forever. The steel net of media headlines soars to the sky. The status treasure 500 million justice fund pulsates. The steel flames of the city's public opinion swallow the sky and justice is eternal. Mu Xue's waterproof phone flashed green, hacking into Fu's office to monitor the remaining files. And the screen popped up with a hidden safe clicking open, with a gang money laundering check inside. Shadow Snake Judicial Expansion Supreme Court Chief Target. Fu Tiecheng's face folded in a sinister smile, her eyes widened like a copper bell, his hands trembled and his voice collapsed. Sister Ye, the safe is irrefutable. Fu Qin is responsible for money laundering, and the next target is the Supreme Court President. The crisis escalates, and the black tide swallows the sky. The wolf car outside the fog approached the lamppost and roared, buzzing, and the premonition of blood was like a knife hanging from the neck. The warm sun pierces the marble and dries, the oak door squeaks forever and cuts into silence. Ye steps out of the foggy sea with high heels. The cold light of blue light glasses gnaws at the hollow heart. The warm current steel flame is undying. The details of the truth are forever locked in the dark clouds.